Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series here for round 8 of 8 here at the lovely 7-kilometre long circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. My name is Mitch Hobbs, and joining me in this star-studded lineup of commentary, we've got Brent Sykes on the cameras, and joining me on comms is Austin McNeil and Cam Thistlethwaite. How are you both doing, lads?
Good evening, all. I am doing very well. I am excited for this final round and 90 minutes around the great track that is Spa. I believe there is no mandatory stop, so free to no stop it, but I don't think anyone can do that. Will be stopping.
Definitely no stars and stud in this box, that's for sure, Mitch Hobbs. But yes, everyone loves Spa. There's definitely no debate on the fact of the circuit or anything like that. But yes, 90 minutes is going to be a very interesting to see if anyone can no stop it. I doubt it, but we shall see. But qualifying first, and we'll see what makes up the grid. And dare say this guy on screen is going to be towards the front. It is Paul Britt.
Yeah, look, without a doubt, Britty's certainly going to be up the front in that McLaren. As we said, no mandatory pit stops tonight, so we'll see what sort of strategies people play out. If you're in a Porsche, it will be interesting to see if you can make no stops. You can go map 2 and go quite a long time at certain tracks. I don't know if Spa is one of them, but we'll certainly see how we go tonight. And you were talking before about liking this track. Talk about that in a minute, but have you met JP Sneakers? Let's put it that way. This is the standings coming into this final round. Matt Spinazzi has claimed the championship in Pro, so very well done to him. 254 points over Chris Taylor. A lot of the pros sort of unfortunately couldn't make it coming towards the end of the season, so Spinazzi's had a fairly easy run. Stan Buskovus is leading the silver after last round. He's 18 points ahead of Jeremy Jerry, and Ben Piper and Kumar have stayed in their respective positions, and Aiden Squires is down in 5th. Now, Aiden Squires cannot get the silver championship, but anyone in the top 4 there can, so it's a very, very tight championship. In silver Pro-Am, Wes Yao is back on top ahead of Ryan King, only by 24 points. Andy Bishop stays where he is in 3rd, 26 behind King. John Stockton has actually jumped his way up into 4th overall, and Tom Kidman again has made his way up 2 positions up into the top 5, and any of the top 5 there can actually win it, and possibly even 6 further down that we can't see, so that'll be an interesting one. You can see down in the AM class, Paul Cranich is still leading that. Beloved Paul, only 18 points ahead of Ben Winton, Phil McCulley in 3rd, and Daviod Marsh. This is really good spelling. I'll have a good laugh at this. Is 11 points behind Phil McCulley, and Nigel Runyon has dropped down to 5th, but he's equal with Daviod Marsh. So I'm going to take the piss out of Marshy all night. That's great. I love that.
Those are some very close scores, particularly in that silver championship. That's even just 1 position on track ahead. So that'll be very fun to watch if we can do the maths while we're doing that. We've got 90 minutes.
That maths is too much effort. We don't do that here.
There's 3 of us. Surely we can figure it out. One brain cell between the 3.
Yeah. Hey. Cameron's got more than 1 brain cell, okay?
It'd be nice if you shared.
Yeah, well, I'm not I don't double dip with my single brain cell, and I can only count up to 3 as well, so anyway, enough about me. Let's make it all about you, Hobbsy, and what would you expect for pole position lap time here tonight?
Ooh, I don't know what the temperatures are, but I would
don't make any excuses.
Nah, I would be 20. Ooh, they're higher temps tonight. Like that. I'd be expecting. Let's have a look. Probably 215s. We probably see a 215. If not, definitely a low 216. Optimum temps. 27 ambient, 35 track. Track's not too hot. In the grand scheme, the ambient certainly a lot higher than we've probably seen this season. But I'd say, there you go, there's a 216 already, so we might see maybe a 215.9, something like that.
Track's not too hot, he says. 35 degrees.
It's usually 30, so it's not a huge difference.
I don't know what to make of you. Don't know what to make of you. I'm just going to sigh here and be disappointed. But yeah, so bank over 216.8 for the McLaren driver of Paul Britt. Nothing expected. You can dare say you probably will get down to those low 16s. To be honest, I've got no reference at all here. I haven't driven here since the 24, and frankly, that feels like a very different race entirely to what we have here tonight. But yes, Austin, Lamborghini driver, what will you be expecting?
Yeah, the temps are a bit warmer, particularly the air temps, and not probably quite as much air into the engines, and there's obviously a very long straight here in Spa, a couple of long power sections actually. I'm going to say with a banker of 16.8, I was going to say 16.1, I think, is where we're sort of going to reach by the end of quali. Probably out of Britain himself, he's very, very good with McLaren. As we're watching Babs here in Porsche come through the final chicane, I think he'll start a valid hot lap this time around. Look like he hasn't got that.
That's not very nice. That's probably something 218.3 there, even though it was invalid. That's probably something we'll look towards a bit more in the race side of things. Is the track limits? You don't really want to be abusing them too early on, because a drive through here is it's depressing. It's the only way to put it. I think it's about 90 seconds for a drive through here, so you definitely don't want to lose that unholy amount of time. Squires here though, he's just coming up out of the exit of the com. Whoa, getting a little bit slidey there. Certainly the track temps could play a little part in that, not providing as much grip, but optimum conditions still will allow for a good time. He's coming through No Name now. Just, I think, getting a little bit squirrely overall. It's just not really helping a bit. Of course, the Mustang isn't the best overall with tyre wear and the way it sort of handles in certain parts. He's all the curve there. He wants to get it rotated in nicely, but Britty's got a healthy lead here, so I don't think he's got anything to worry about at this point. With that 6 and 8, yeah, I think you're right. Austin, we're probably going to see, probably was a bit optimistic with 15s, but definitely, yeah, right, maybe 16-1 or 2 or something like that. Probably look to see down towards Stavolo, 1 and 2. Price Davies is going to come across the line. Good little gain there. Going to get him up a couple of positions, maybe top 10. Oh, not quite. Almost matching Ryan King for a P10. And he goes off the track. Oh, that's a bit of a late call. It was, of course, only a 12-minute quali session, so really you're going to have to commit either to just go full in all 12 minutes, or try and split it, go maybe get one lap in and then come back in and just go out. It's certainly a tough one to split. 19.5 there from K. So people just getting some banker times in and some first hot lap times in before they really start pushing to get their times in.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky with long laps like this. You sort of come in halfway through the session, and then by the time you finish your next out lap, you used up another 30% of the time you had to put laps in. So for some, it might be a smart choice to just fuel for the entire session and just drive around and hope to get a good lap. But I'm sure some of the faster guys will just split it up between maybe 2 laps, 2 sets of 2 laps, I should say. And as we're watching Ellis here in the Ferrari, 3 tenths up at the moment. Looks like that'll be a decent game, maybe up to 12th, maybe just touching 11th. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yep, Ellis now coming through into the bus stop chicane. Not a pretty good track for the Ferrari, good track record. Obviously, Ferrari's not too strong on a Saturday, and if they are relatively, when it comes to qualifying, if they are strong on Saturday, then they generally go even better in the race. But it goes up to P18 there for Jared Ellis, a respectable time, and have 2 more shots to the board if he has fuel. Ryan King now, challenger for Pro-Am Honours, currently behind Wesley Yao, who looks like he is potentially done. He does have time to go out again, but it is quite tight for the Porsche driver. It looks like he's going to be Ryan King now. 2, quite late, but makes up a bunch of time. Leads a little bit as well. Goes not too great on the last corner on the exit as well. Maybe carried a bit too much speed into the bus stop. And we'll continue on again, but definitely not much left in the on the time as Benjamin Piper now crosses the line with his Bentley, last week's winner as well at Nürburgring, so full of confidence, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. The Bentley's not one I think of being very strong at Spa. It never has been. So it's good to see him giving it a good hot run. Same with the the likes of the Porsche and the Ferrari, as we say. The Ferrari especially might not be good on a Saturday, but come a Sunday, it certainly shows its pace. There we go. Okay, 2:18.8, so he's into the 18s. He's got a bit of a gap though to Ellis in front if he wants that top 15 spot. So he's going to really have to push. Stan Buskovas really showing his fantastic potential that he's had throughout this whole season. I do not, without a shadow of a doubt, know, but I reckon he's going to be pro next season. I almost guarantee it. So we'll see what his last round brings us. He's currently going to go ahead of Slady for P2. Britt hasn't done a faster lap at this point. Not to say that he won't go faster, but Banker almost being good enough for pole at this point in time. Half a second up goes Buskovas. As I say that, Britt goes faster, a 0.6 now, so he's just excuse me, working his way down. He's got one more lap, so maybe we were even optimistic with low 16s at this point. But down through Stavelo onto the straight up to Blanchimont, and that's a fantastic run. And Slade's gone even faster as well, so Buskovas not going to get any positions at the moment. He's just going to have to try and extend that gap he's got to Squires and Costa behind. Jerry's looking in on that one, Spinazzi as well. So certainly one. Nissan's very good on the straight, very planted on the straight. When it comes to a corner, that's a whole different story, but he's certainly driving that car very well through the bus stop. Chicane. Let's see. He does. He's going to go probably, yep, 17.377. So he needs another 10th and a half to get up to Slady, and I think he might have just stopped or pulled over there maybe, or he's going to go for one more. Jerry, though, he's looking for some good gains. He'll go half a second up at this point, still got piff-paff to go. Let's see what the Mustang's like on the straight. I suspect a hilarious chance is the word I'm looking for.
Indeed. A bit surprised to see some of the Mustangs a little bit further down, though. I thought it would be rapid here, as it has been at most circuits, but maybe the BOP gods have finally hammered in the nail into the Mustang. But we shall see. Yeah, so quite a lot of kilos for the Mustang. Maybe with all that neon green paint that's on Zeri's car right now. Paint makes you go slower, apparently, according to F1, because F1's always right with these things. But 8-10's up right now, a little bit deep into the first part of the bus stop. Might compromise a little bit, but not too bad. Just retains his 7-10's up and might go up to P3 with this one. That is the case for Zeri. Good lap, and we see Britt now coming through the bus stop. Hits the curb a little bit on the last corner, but should improve to what be a 16.4. Nope, a 16.66, a 5. So a small improvement. Mitch Hobbs promised me 15, so he's
yeah, I'm a liar.
first.
That's right.
Wrong. Yeah, didn't even get low 16s, and we saw, I think, Buskovas there have a big slide through pit pap, so that's that lap gone, I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, it's a rough one for Buskovas. I thought, yep, he's signalling that it's the white flag, and Rondinella here. He's just matched K's time. So if he can just get any sort of improvement here, he should get past. Maybe it could be enough if he gets the bus stop right to even get past Jared Ellis. If he just pulls it up nicely, good use of the curb, get the car rotated. It's not going to be enough for Ellis, but it could be enough for K if he just comes through. Oh, and it's not. Classic
Never happens.
Really lying to us. Yep.
Now you have to excuse me. I believe chat called me out for having a quiet microphone, so let me know if this is a little bit better. I found some volumes on my end.
Yes,
so just
thank you for
checking
making
that.
my ears bleed. Thank you.
Sorry about that, but I
thinking you were gone.
Pretty good, maybe a smidge down, but yes, found some bars, has Austin McNeil. But yeah, going well. And that'll be it as Bishop goes up to P13. So the Aston's not looking as strong as they have been for the last few rounds, rightly or wrongly. The never-ending debate of BOP as it is. Looks like Babby is also starting from the rear along with Bub now and the 97 car Ferrari. I'll be very interested to see how those guys come through the field or die at the first hurdle.
Yeah, it's always interesting with the start of these races as we start down this straight towards Radion and Eau Rouge, and everyone's still sorting themselves out as we go up the hill and down the straight. Always causes a lot of wonderful little moments, I'll say, on the first lap. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that, see any deaths. But hopefully it's nice and clean. They've got 90 minutes. They've got to look after their tyres, got to look after their cars. So hopefully nothing too crazy.
I'm surprised to see Spinazzi down there in P7. Maybe now he knows there's titles in the bag. He's maybe a little, maybe not pushing as hard as he needs to out there, as he knows it's a pretty done deal.
Yeah, well, I mean, of all the tracks,
technically,
that you
Stan
want to have
could take the championship. The 29 car could win if Spinazzi DNFs.
Meh. Don't worry about that. We don't talk about those sort of things. But, it's Spa. I mean, if you want to have the championship wrapped up at any track or by any track, it's going to be this one, given the carnage you might expect to see, especially here as the lights go green on this straight rather than the straight down to turn 1, which is probably a good thing, because then there's even more likely to be death if you let it go green down at turn 1. We can see a couple of drivers holding on to their chocolate liveries from the last couple of weeks. You see the Whitaker's creamy caramel livery, Slady up before had an old gold livery, and the other drivers just holding on with their normal liveries. That Lexus one, do love that. Bab's got his mint aero livery, and Bub now still repping his 12 Massa Racing, and the beloved Paul Kranich with his M&M livery at the back of the field. Just going to putt along nicely. And 25 seconds, drivers just finalising what they're going to do. Whether they are going to pit, which I'd say most of them probably are going to have to pit. And I'd say, will they do fuel and tyres? That will be the big question. I don't think they will. Is it going to be worth it? Given the hot temps, it's certainly one to look at. So keep an eye out for any drivers who might change tyres.
Yeah, I suspect tyres would be pretty common just because it's so warm, particularly on cars maybe like the Ford that kind of chew them up a little bit. But I think there's certainly some drivers that will just go for a bit of a splash and dash, try and save themselves the extra 10-15 seconds over the full tyre pit stop, and hopefully they can hold that tyre delta to the end. So hopefully there's a couple of fun little battles at the end with some delta differences and things like that. We'll have to watch how it plays out.
Like Michael Babb has gone back to the pits, whether that's intentionally or not, we shall see, never know. But back at the grid or the pits, it really doesn't make much difference. And only really affects it. To be fair, this track it probably affects it more than most, because you do have to carry a fair bit of speed coming down the out of La Source. So, but you're probably hoping to avoid most of the carnage. We shall see how the Porsche gets on. I believe the Porsche can go well here, but ACC likes to pretend that the Porsche is not a great car in a straight line. After watching this weekend's GT World Challenge Monza, just reaffirms that the Porsche is not actually that bad in a straight line and can hold its own. So I don't know why ACC still pushes this. That's the case, but who knows? But I'll be interested to see Lennon McLaren. He's obviously got a couple of Mustangs behind it. Costa, he's got Aiden Squires and Spinazzi out there, and he's got the GTI in front of him. So I doubt he'll be going forwards too much, going along Kemmel on the first lap. But we shall see. I think the GTR is probably going to be the hardest on tyres, somewhat along with the Fords as well, with its natural sort of understeer. But this is probably more of a case of a chance of people actually taking tyres. But I get the feeling those who can manage it at the front will probably come out on top, because it is a big deficit.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye out for the pace these people have, because maybe some people will be holding back a little bit, where others are just going full push and knowing they're stopping, maybe splitting it 50-50, so they're just doing 2 45-minute sprints. yeah, it'll be interesting to watch out for that as we're coming around up to the back straight now. I'm sure they'll go too wide soon. All right, here we go. Someone jinxed the start. Any predictions for how we think it's going to go?
Well,
I think there'll be a green light.
yeah, well,
Smart. That's a safe bet.
Look, I'm hoping if they get past Eau Rouge Radion, we should be right. But, you know, of course, we can only hope for nice things.
I think Brent was just trialing, getting his safety car graphic ready just then. And just, you know, getting it warmed up.
Yeah, we're warm. Yep, okay, we've got it ready. It's time, gentlemen, for the final race for Split Yellow for this season here at Spa. Cannot wait to see how we're going to go here. We're coming around to the bus stop for the last couple of corners before we go green. And, of course, for some reason, Classic GT World, we go green after turn 1. So more carnage at Eau Rouge Radion. They come around now. The cars are nice and bunched up, of course, getting into double file a little bit earlier to give the drivers more time to get closer to each other. A couple of cars just keeping a little bit too large gaps. You need to keep no more than a 2-car length gap between, of course, the car in front, or the stewards will slap you, and they will be very upset with you. So don't upset the stewards in the final race. Yeah.
I'd be worried if I was Slady here and want to get the best start possible, but he's going to be on the outside a little bit for Eau Rouge.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Let's see. McLaren better off the start than the Ferrari. Turbo lag in the Ferrari. We go green, and I say that in Slade. He's really given Britty a run for his money off the start, and they already tap. And Slade hit the brakes. That's not going to end well for him. He's going to end up, I reckon, probably down in 4th or 5th come the straight. Because he had to sort of back out of that one with Britt. Down Kemmel we come towards Lecom. And Britt is already running away with this one because of that little tap he had up Eau Rouge. Let's see what happens. Slade around the outside. I wouldn't do that if I was him. Oh, but he gets past Buskovus and slips in behind Jerry. And there's a car off there. It's not really where you want to go. That's Ryan King. Yeah.
No, that might be Ryan King, yep.
Yeah, looking at the livery, I think it's Ryan King down towards No Name they come. This is another one, turn 8 here. Is a nasty one for drivers to get wrong. But, through No Name now, and Slade is really on it. He wants that P2 back from Jerry, but he's going to have to work for it, especially with that Mustang's top-end speed. But overall, so far so clean, gentlemen.
Yeah, pretty good start there.
That ditto. You go, Austin.
Yes, lucky we're under a roof. Yeah, no, that was a pretty good start. A small tap in P1 there, but no harm done. And then Slade here managed to keep onto P3. But now he is going to have quite the difficult task of getting past the Mustang, because it might not be the quickest around the corners, but sadly here in the corners isn't where you overtake. And it's just going to drive away from Slady down the straights. So going to be a bit difficult. He's going to have to sort of put his thinking hat on and try and make some moves elsewhere, try and force something to happen. But also they'll have to, again, as we keep rambling on about, it's a long race, got to look after the car, so we'll see how hard they're willing to push, particularly with 34 track temps, 27 in the air. Car's going to get very hot. Here we have a replay of the start. Go ahead, Cam.
Yep, not too bad. There's a bit of a weird contact between P1 and P2. I felt like Slady was as far left as he needed to be. So obviously, Albert goes the fastest lap, you know, irrelevantly, as it is the first one. I believe that is Kumar back in the field. Ooh, something's happened here as Slady, Zeri is all the way back. Has lost, gone from 2nd to what looks like 5th, and is now going down side by side with Costa. And it looks like Costa pulls ahead as well, so something's happened at the bus stop as soon as we got the replay camera out, which is, you know, always tends to happen. Costa, we've got Zeri all the way to the back with the Mustang, and here we'll see what happens now. Looks like the action's already happened, so something's definitely gone wrong. We'll have to go back to that one. And yeah, I wonder if Slady and Zeri have come up proper at the bus stop, but we shall see. I was going to say, it looks like Slade was going to lose out to both Zeri and Buskovas at the start, but Stan was a little bit too close to the Mustang in front and had to get out a bit early for the cons as well. So yeah, all mix and match. This first race on a short. Paul Britt will be happy as he disappears up the front. Oh, Zeri's gone off again, and he's dropped all the way back.
Oh yeah, he has certainly dropped back a long way down the field. By the look of things, just behind Piper. In fact, so he's down to P9. That's a bit of a rough one for him to take. Maybe a bit of contact. It's not been a good last lap or so for Zeri, but we knew Britt was certainly going to pull away early on, and he's certainly done that. He's already down to stable 01, while the others are just exiting pit path. So I think he's just going to have a nice calm race, try and keep the tyres in check, and see if he can do any fuel saving, which I don't think he really can in the McLaren, because that's really munches on fuel. So I can just cut along nicely. Aiden Squires now looking to attack on Costa, with Briscoe dropping back a bit from Slade. This is a really good opportunity. Squires sticking the nose out just to let Costa know he's there. Doesn't want to stick it out too far with the track limit warnings. Certainly don't want to get a drive through at this point. Maybe wouldn't stick it down the inside that late. He stuck the nose out, but it didn't go much further than that down the final corners. Britt does an 18.0. That's a very nice lap. You can just see
Squires has gone the worst exits of all exits ever, and has somehow lost a position. I don't know if he was in second or not in the right gear into the bus stop, but he's gone from being on the back of Costa to now behind behind Spinaza as well. So something's definitely happened there. Maybe he needs to close the stream and stop looking at chat.
It might have been a lack of talent, unfortunately, for a minute there, just on the exit of the final corner up the Beau Rouge Radion. Oh, that's
not the line.
No, that I don't recommend that line at all. That's definitely a track limit warning. I think the car might have just gotten a little bit unsettled from the way I saw it handle coming across the track there. So that'll be one to keep an eye out for. But Spence just drops in behind Squires again. Of course, doesn't want to make that overtake off track. All the stewards will be asked to ask him to give that one back. Ben Piper's getting in on this action, so is Jerry after those couple of incidents at the start. He certainly wants to regain the positions lost down to turn 8 now. Jerry sticking the nose out on Piper. I mean, the real winner here at the moment is probably going to be Wes Yao, just sticking at the back of this 7-car pack. This is ridiculous amount of cars in the pack, especially at Spa. I pray to everything that this goes well.
I'm sure it'll be fine. All these lads are pretty quick operators. They know what they're doing. Spa does have enough room to race, so it's not the worst. As here we have a replay of the green Mustang coming in. Ooh, the diving very. Ooh. Whoa. Okay, well held, but that's not exactly what you want to see. At least there doesn't seem to be any contact, so well played, everybody. But yeah, doing that too much isn't going to be very good for the tyres in the long run.
Yeah, not great there from Zeri. It looked like even the car ahead Costa, whether it was an avoidance or was equally going deep into the brakes, but yeah. Not great from Zeri, who is second, leading the Silver Championship, 18 points. Sorry, no, Stan Busco was leading 18 points over Jeremy Zeri. So looks to bolster Stan's position of retaining and outright winning the Silver Championship. As Zeri looks for the inside at Piper. Piper leaves him plenty of room, but well, the inside for the second part of the bus stop. Awkwardly, nearly chops off the nose of Price Davis there with the switchback. Bentley retains the lead, and looks like Piper's not really wanting to fight him too much. He just doesn't want to get involved in too much of a bother. As Wesley Yao also having a look at Price Davis, or everyone's having different sort of goes into La Source, and Zeri is through on the Bentley.
Yeah.
No, go on, mate.
I was just going to say, pretty solid move there. Obviously, it didn't look like Piper fought it too hard. He just went to tuck back in and follow the Mustang down this very long straight, which is pretty smart, to be honest. They'll give you a nice long tow. As you see here.
It looks like we lost Bishop as well on the first lap. He is still out there circulating the 89 on the track map, but he looks like he did suffer an incident and is going to have a long race to himself by the looks of things.
Yeah, and pretty unfortunate to see. Obviously, it is a long race, so he can make back some time, but whether he has to stop again for his pit stop or if he can no stop it from here, it's going to be tricky to sort of really get back in any sort of running. So hope he has a fun time driving around Spa for another 80 minutes. But we're currently on board with, as we're watching a replay.
Let's have a look. This is Bryce Davies down the inside of Piper. And, he's literally replicated what Jerry did only a number of laps ago. There's something wrong with that curve, methinks.
You gotta, get the car slowed before the corner, generally. You kind of meant to coast through it. Unfortunately, when you're still jammed on the brakes, especially with how rear biased most McLaren setups are, I'm not surprised that they locked up a rear. I think that was Wesley out, maybe going for an excursion up ahead, but thankfully, if you go off there, don't lose too much time, but track limits definitely a factor.
Here we go.
Dunston's got Ellis all over him, goes to the outside. Can be done from the outside line, but equal braking between the two cars. It holds it around the outside, Ellis going to the inside. Thankfully seen by Stockton as well. Still side by side on exit, equal about, pull-aways from both cars with Ryan King there ready and waiting in the background as they both come into turn one side by side as well from the two Ferraris. Stockton retains. Ellis looks for a switchback. Nicely done. Oh, beautifully done. Not even a slight rub on the exit there as Ellis powers down to Rouge.
Yeah, great move there. Solid switchback, very clean. Now he's got the run down up through Eau Rouge and Verdillion. Down the straight here, and he's got to watch out for this McLaren coming up behind as well, who's going to be very, very quick. Moves to the outside. He's holding the inside for this right-hander, and he'll then have to hold it again. So we'll see how they go into the braking zone here. McLaren gets around by the end of the braking zone. Very clean move. Good racing.
Yeah, good stuff there from Ryan King. Did have a little bit of a draft, I think, from the Ferrari ahead, which just aided things and was brave enough on the brakes around the outside on Stockton. 2 places lost, but to be honest, 2 very well executed moves by both Ellis and Ryan King there as well. Wesley Yan now looking along back a bit of Benjamin Piper. So the Pro-Am against the Silver classes are somewhat irrelevant. If you feel like they're holding you up, there's no reason not to pass them. Great to see the Porsche driver on form as well, as he's put together a pretty solid championship so far, obviously in heading up Pro-Am class. I put the question to you guys: if you are racing next season, to you and Mitch and Austin, but also to anyone in chat, if you are thinking of racing in season 19, obviously dates are not available right now, but what do you feel like you would drive next season, or are you kind of one of those people who wait for the calendar to come out first?
I'm always 50-50. Sometimes I wait for the calendar, other times I won't. I've got the Honda in mind. I've got the Audi in mind as well. No, if I do that, I'll pick the Audi for that. But I think, look, I've got Audi, Honda in mind. The calendar will probably be confirmed, basically, what I pick of those two. Maybe a Bentley pick. I do love the Bentley. People who know me know I do love a Bentley. But maybe even a different pick like the Porsche. I've never driven that in a Sprint Series scenario. Speaking of Porsches, here's Babsy. Let's see what he can do on limb here. Oh, he just absolutely stuck it in there. He was not giving them a chance, but Lim said, no, thank you, I'll have that. But I think Bab's going to get... Oh, bit of a tap there with push and shove. I don't think there was anything too untoward there. And Babsy gets the move done.
So you reckon the Honda or the Audi? That is some interesting choices, but it'd be fun to see you drive around in them. Probably, I don't know, if I go next season, it's either the Lambo, because I do love my Lambo, or maybe I'll be a bop hopper and jump over the Ford, but maybe by next season I'll fix it a bit more. Boo! Not wrong. But was that someone's side it?
Ooh, that's Costa.
On the brakes!
Thanks, people! Oh! I think I just clenched watching a replay. Holy moly.
I mean, I've been clenching every time for it to go for a Rouge, especially when you touch the inside curve, but my goodness, that is like... pretty significant is Jared Ellis, I think, just before we went to replay as well. Jared Ellis and Brian King were going for a little bit of a moment, which is hence why Ellis is a little bit back in the clutches of Stockton, but unfortunately for Costa, where's that put him down? He may have come in for a box as well. Yep, so Ellis here with the McLaren in the slipstream. Going down a little bit of a skinny wing. Big gains down the straight in the stream as well. Both going into the corners. A little bit of a touch is maybe Ellis was thought Ryan would take a bit more curve, hold it a bit more of a tighter line.
I think he missed the braking point as a whole by the look of that.
A little bit as well, yeah. It's normally meant to clobber that inside curve, but maybe that's me just talking as a front engine driver. As Bryce Davis now on the back of Liam K. A little bit of lunging back and forth. 89 is stopped at Kemmel, which is Bishop again, so it looks like he may have come a cropper at Eau Rouge and Radion. Unfortunately, I think that might be day done for him as he returns to garage.
Yeah, it's a rough circuit, I can tell you that. It's certainly not Bishop's day. Ross has done the same thing. I think he's got too much damage. Bishop's had a great season, no doubt about that, just probably not finishing it in the way he wanted to. And Costa's the same. He's had a pretty consistent season, just probably, again, not finishing it the way he would have liked to. So we're already 2 cars down in this race with many laps to go. Still an hour 15 in this one. I don't think we'll see anyone pitting probably for another half an hour or so, unless some people have got some different strategies in mind. See, going to keep an eye on the Porsches, especially given that they can go different engine maps. Oh, that's Kay. Just his line there threw me a little bit. I thought he might have been going deep, but not the case. Kumar wanting to get on this one. Rondinella just sitting nicely in the back, not causing too many problems. Just wants to keep it in the slipstream. Maybe not attack yet until maybe there's a mistake from the cars in front. We'll see how it goes at this point in time. Through No Name now. This is another corner that's really difficult. With the track limits just on the exit especially, you just go a little bit wide and you're certainly going to suffer getting that track limit warning. I hope no one's on 3 warnings already, and if you are, good luck to you for the rest of the rest of this race. You're going to certainly struggle to keep without a DT at this point.
That brings back good memories of the 24 we did a little while ago here, and you'd get into the car at 3 a.m. and your mates left you with 3 track warnings. You're like, yeah, good excellent. One. So thanks for that. But yeah, as we're watching,
we all have a teammate who's like,
don't we all? And if you don't, you're that teammate. Just heads up.
Shit. I just realized I was that guy for you.
Oh yes, love that.
Can't just be. I did an Ethan Cale impression.
He'll love you for that. Oh, a little bit deep there from Spence with Jerry attacking. Bad exit from Spence. Jerry can't quite capitalise on it, but maybe he'll stick the nose out. Spence going to stick to the inside. Jerry moves to the outside. Spence can't move now. Let's see what can happen. I smell a switchback here. Well, he looked for it, but Spence didn't go deep like he was hoping. Piper in the background now got the out.
It's a slingshot.
Yep. Oh yes. So we'll see the Mustang, especially with its top speed. McLaren's got good top speed too, but the Mustang's really no match for any other car. So down. I mean, a really good run as well, just on the exit from Jerry. So I think he's going to make this one look like a piece of cake. Sitting in the middle though. I don't like the way that he's just holding the middle there, but Jerry's going to get through. Let's see what happens. Racing room given. Jerry should get this one done if he can hold the inside. Oh, and Spence made the mistake through. Spence is going to hold on to it maybe. Oh, they're still going here. Piper needs to hold back if he can down to turn 8, and he is. Side by side. Oh, a little bit of a tap through turn 8. Robbins racing. Nothing wrong with that. Up to turn 9. No name. What can go wrong here? I hope nothing. Spence holds nicely. Oh, just almost didn't let Jerry back onto the track. Yao's going to get involved here maybe. Piper just needs to lift and coast a little bit just to let these two battle. Maybe he can get something done here, and Jerry loses out in that battle and might even lose out to Piper here if he doesn't get his cards right. Let's have a look down to Piff Paff. Oh, wow. Piper almost gave him a bit of a love tap there. taking him out to dinner first, I'd have thought. But on the exit of Piff Paff towards Stavolo, wow, that was, I didn't know what Jerry was going to do there.
Yeah, I want to say good racing, but also it was a very, very hard but fair racing. There was room given. There was a few touches here and there. I think it was just a surprise how hard they're going at it, because you can see how much time they've lost. Obviously, like Piper and Yao were, a few seconds behind, and no discredit to Spence, doesn't mean he can't fight Zeri, but if I knew who Zeri was that much, driving like that and still how much faster Zeri would be, I would have let him go. But he's entitled to fight. It's the last race of the season, and he comes into the pits. Okay, I'm flummoxed, completely flummoxed by all that. Then that's an early stop.
I mean, it is. I don't know if you can make 70 minutes in the McLaren around here, because it's going to be, if he is, he's going to be pushing it, because it's 2 minutes for a pit stop. It's going to give him 1 hour 9 left-ish. That's bold with a capital B. That's all I'm going to say.
You should ask someone in the comm box who's driving the McLaren.
And that would be you.
Yeah, ask me.
Was that a mistake?
I don't know. I haven't done any practice.
Oh, right, okay. Useful information.
Got him.
I will find out tomorrow.
Okay, great. I mean, I'm hoping he's calculated it, because if he has, here we go, a penalty. Ryan King, 10-second on the lap 1. Ooh. Oh, speaking of penalty, just cap Greco round. Oh, this is, yep, just, you give a penalty, you create, oh my goodness, oh my, what was Kay doing there? He lost the rear and he's hit Kumar and he's got front end damage, and Bab, don't go through right at turn 8. Oh. Okay, I'm clenched. Holy moly, down to no name. Kay needs to just back out a little bit. Bab is on a charge at the moment. He's dug the back of the boot. He's already into P13, so it's a really good effort from him. But holy moly, that was close with Kumar. I was very concerned what was going to happen there.
I have created a diamond from clenching so tightly, but fairly well managed. Everyone is still driving forward, so that's a good thing. But yeah, everyone's racing very, very spicy this afternoon. So actually, it's a bit of fun, actually. It's good fun to watch.
I love how that series of corners that we just went through, I've seen 3 different names for it now. Pip Pat from you. The thing in the top right said Lefanias, and my map says Campus. So who knows?
It's one of them.
It's the right-left.
Yeah.
That's not confusing, I promise.
No. It's not like half the track is right-left or left-right or something.
Yeah. It's a little bit like no name, and some people call it Jackie Eats Corner as well, I've heard. Who knows?
Now, Ellis did a 2:36 last lap. Did he pit? That's the question. Or did he just have a moment? And
things were not going great for him, but he was near Stockton, and Stockton was P10, so maybe he has gone into the pit stops. See him back on the limbs.
Yeah, I don't think this will be where he loses the time, but it's certainly
understeer.
Oh, a bit of understeer. If my limb's going to get through, that was close to a track limit. I think this is where. Don't do that. Robbins Racing. I know it's nice, but ACC physics don't allow that. So position lost and then gained again. Excuse me, for Ellis, and now he's got McCulley behind us, Lim. So he could be in a bit of trouble. Maybe McCulley's just maybe stick the nose out. It does. I don't think he'll go for the move. Yeah, just sticks the nose out there, wants to put that pressure on them. That's some good thinking there from the AND driver.
Keep forgetting to say
yeah, I know, because not many people. Maybe that's what we need to drive next season. Let's get the Merc hype up, everybody. Let's all drive Mercs.
Well, apparently, isn't it still like broken? Doesn't have a floor or something, so it just monsters curves. I don't know what's gone on with it. But it just drives weird, apparently.
Yes, it is a pain to drive, to be fair.
I think it's something like the Audi, from what I understand. It's just like it can do X lap, but you have to be about 2% of the player base to be able to do X lap. So everyone else has to just suffer, unfortunately, I think.
Do you love me a bit of suffering?
That's why you're taking the Honda.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. Greco, though, not suffering at all. Well, suffering from an earlier incident, being further back down the field, but he's getting the slipstream from Bubner, who again was at the back of the field and has made his way up through the field following his mate Michael Babb. Babsy sitting P12, trying to chase down Price Davies in this little group with Stockton, who's 11 seconds behind Ryan King. So okay, that's a track and all if I've ever seen one. I hope we don't see a drive through this early on. Now a 6 to go. Nothing's really changed in terms of the track. Temp's actually gone down. We are late-ish afternoon in game, so the temps in terms of the track and ambient might go down a little bit by the end of the race. It's going to have a huge impact. I don't think so.
No, I don't think the temperature's going to change that much. Wind's only 1k. Clouds aren't going to move. There's not going to be any more of them. So I think they're pretty much stuck. Feel free. I won't stop you. Let's see what happens.
Right. Let's get Bender in here do his rain dance. I know the conditions are dry, but don't worry about it. He can do magical things, Bender.
We've seen Bender do plenty of things. I think the rain dance is just enough.
As we're here. You do a rain dance and make the track wet without taking his pants off.
I don't know.
That's the best bit.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of dirty air there for the Bentley.
Damage.
Very unfortunate. You hate to see the wonderful Boatley get pranged up like that, but yeah, we're all upset. As on with Price Davies trying to make a move on Stockton through no name. Been very racing here with Babs trying to come up behind as well.
Yeah, not very intelligent there, driving. Price Davies trying to look to the inside when you're about 2 car lengths behind, and therefore compromise your exit. And Babs says, "Thank you very much."
Yep. So he saw that one coming, and to be honest, I think we all saw that coming. I saw the sticking out of the nose, and I don't think he quite did that early enough.
It's not somewhere you pass anyway, really.
Well, exactly. Well, maybe if they make the mistake and get the moving right. Yeah. Not going to
get out to be side by side going into it first.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, he's just lacking a little bit now, just probably out of his rhythm a little bit. If you get out of that rhythm, it's really difficult to get back in the headspace for to get back in the rhythm, of course. Got to give it maybe 2-3 laps and then you should be right again. But Bab, this is for a top 10 position, and they've got a big gap to Piper, but I reckon they'll come down because Piper's probably got an unholy amount of damage. It's going to be slowing his times right down. Bab is going to look for the exit here on Stockton. Stockton got a really bad line through the bus stop, and Bab's going to stick the nose in. Stockton can't move now. I don't know if Stockton's going to fight this one too much. There you go. Piper's in the pits. I did wonder if he was going to do that. He should make it to the end now on a full tank of fuel, and that's Price Davies actually just sneaking in the background and trying to get the side-by-side with Stockton. Don't think he's going to get that one pulled off in this case, but maybe on the straight he can do something. Kumar's going to have the slipstream. Kay and Rondinella might get a bit of a taste of it as well. Over his ready. Oh, that's a very close to a track limit warning, I dare say, for Price Davies. Going to have the slipstream. Stockton. Bab moves across straight away. He knows that Porsche top end speed's really going to hurt him, especially with drivers that might have slipstream, but he's giving it to Stockton as he moves across to take the racing line through the... Oh my goodness, what was that? Come on, people. Anyway, that's... Stewards will bonk him. Nope. Yep.
Well, Babby, I was going to say you're going to have 8 seconds to the next car, but now you can get ready to do everything you just did all over again.
He's done it once, he can do it again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say from about a different postcode that unfortunately McLaren has arrived with them to the Porsche. And he saw it coming, but he had to turn in at some point. Dear.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. Clearly on the inside and didn't have vision on his normal braking marker, which I'll assume was on the outside. So just missed his braking marker and poor Babsy got cleaned up. But hopefully not too much damage, particularly for Babsy. It looked like it was side-on contacts, which isn't the worst. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a big old hammer coming to the McLaren in a few minutes. As we're here with Kumar trying to make a move on Stockton now.
I feel bad because, to be honest, the damage is going to be really to Babby's tyres if he is not going to change them, and he has less reason to change them now as well. having fallen back down. But hopefully it keeps going and keep the spirits up. Yeah, rough. Kumar here, still stuck in the back of Stockton somewhat. Rondinella kind of closing in somewhere. And up to P10 now as well. It should be respectable as Stockton misses his braking zone and makes it very easy for Kumar. And Rondinella hopefully will be able to pounce as well. See how he goes. But yeah, unfortunately there for Babby. Sean bumped out just behind these guys as well. And Liam Kay still in the pink Porsche. I was going to say we haven't really seen the front that much, but as you can see on the track map, Gap City out there, frankly, at the front. 7-second gap between Britt and Slade, 6 seconds back to Buscovas, another 5 seconds back to Spinazzo, the closest gap being 2.5 between him and Squires. But other than that, there's not much else to it. Ryan King is closing in on Wesley Yaldo. The fight for Pro-Am honours. Even with a 10-second penalty, so it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. That could be very decisive, the 10-second penalty overall.
Yeah, you'd think sort of after 90 minutes he might be able to pull a couple of gaps, but we're already 30 minutes in and we're still bumper to bumper here with this sort of couple of battle packs. As there's Alexis on the outside, looks like they're a blue flag, letting everyone by. Good work there. But yeah, this is some pretty crazy racing going on, couple little touches and whatnot, but it's all fair game. I'm sure these drivers are having a lot of fun at the moment, but their tyres are probably screaming.
Absolutely. A few more penalties coming out there for Greco and Kay. I'm sure there's a few more out there. Unfortunately, I think it's not uncommon we've seen with Liam Kay though. It's got a good run out of Puon. And it's fired it up the inside into who knows what. And oh no, but there's a touch as Rondinella, and Rondinella finds some gravel as a result. Oh dear, need another one. Different angle for that one. Don't want to call that at all.
That's there you go, stewards. We'll just leave you have that. Let's see. I think I saw Rondinella here. But let's see. So Kay had a good run. That's fair enough. Sneaks it up the inside. Rondinella gave room.
It's right down the apex.
I think Rondinella turned in on him, but that's just me.
I believe the same. I mean, Kay could move right, but also they're going into a left-hander, so eventually you need to turn left.
Yeah.
So I believe that is on Rondinella himself, and it wasn't too bad. He kept the car straight, lost some spots. So again, not the best, but keep racing. You've still got plenty of time. So as we're back on board now with Greco, who's chasing Kay, both with 10-second penalties, so this is genuinely for position. The 888 chasing the 777.
Triple numbers out there, love it. Shame we don't. Well, we've got 111 of Spinazzi as well, so the battle of the triple numbers could happen. 7 against 888.
6 coming back through the field again.
Yeah, just need Babsy to catch up.
Come on,
6, 7, 8.
Come on, mate.
Come on, Babsy, buck your ideas up. What are you doing down there?
Yeah, he comes through. Oh, that's lip.
Was
Is that a
bad
shot?
run.
Wow, that was rough. McCulley might even get in through here. I think he will. Yeah, he's going to get past here with relative ease.
I was quite surprised by 15-second penalty for Price Davis for the hit, which I imagine was at this place a few laps ago into the Babby, I believe. Understandably so. See Liam Kay here, who goes wide on the last part of the comes, with a position 2 Greco. I wonder if there's another coming part of it. Nope. And yes, so not too great overall. I think maybe our start's been clean, but I think as people get up to speed, and then different sort of ways of going about it, different lap times, everyone gets a little bit messy, especially different levels of racecraft as well, to say the least.
It's always a little bit tricky as a racing driver. The one thing that can happen is you sort of get into your rhythm after a couple of laps of driving around by yourself, and then you catch someone, and then they do something that you don't normally do in your rhythm, and you smack into the back of them. And then it's your fault anyway, which is always a little bit frustrating, but comes with experience. I'm sure that a lot of these guys are earning that experience as we speak. I'm not sure if it's anybody's first season, but I'm sure they're learning a lot regardless. So as we're on board here with Ryan King, he's got a 10-second penalty. They're just sort of cruising around in 8th by himself at the moment, probably trying to pull a bit of a gap. Back on board now with Babsy. Looks like he's chasing down Kidman in the McLaren, trying to gain back these spots. How's his lap times looking? Probably a bit tricky at the moment, driving through the traffic again.
I reckon we're doing around 219s. We shall see. No. No, yeah, it says 219, so I'll ignore what our director said, because the screen says I'm right.
The classic ACC just got to wait a minute for it to update. It's just the quirks of ACC, isn't it? Let's see how Babsy goes with the dirty air up over his ruddy on. Oh, that's a lot of curb there from the car in front, though.
Yeah. I'm very surprised no one's gone to drive through yet for some of these lines.
Now you said it. Now someone's going to get a drive through.
By 50 minutes, DT.
Yeah. I'm going to guarantee it now that Cam said that. Oh, a bit rough there from Babsy. Oh, drive through. Yeah. That doesn't count. No, that doesn't count. No.
That one doesn't count yet.
Pretty rough. Oh, that might be the actual collision that we did see with Babby.
Yeah, I believe it was
lap 12. There's oh my goodness, Ellison goes around the outside of K and surprised K by quite a bit. I imagine there. It's not normally someone you get someone around the outside, but he had the speed and had the grip and the confidence and measured it just so he didn't have space. Looks like K's tyres are gone already with the way he's going right now.
Yeah, I think it's that sort of rough moment for the Porsche with the fuel dropping down a bit and the rear tyres are outwearing the front tyres and just becomes a bit of a handful sort of at this 30 to 40 minute stage of the race. It'll come back, but then they'll have to stop and they'll have to go through it all again, so good luck with that, Porsche drivers. But yeah, and it looks like Babsy's nearly caught back up to the back of this little battle pack actually, so he's definitely making that time back up pretty quickly.
Indeed. There's quite a few incidents all around everywhere, somewhat. Phil McCulley here. I don't believe we've got Ben Winton here, so it might be a safe bet for Paul Cranich to take AM Honours out there. Currently second, Phil McCulley leading AM class so far. I'm not too sure how many points he is behind Paul Cranich, but we shall see. So it looks like some ducks in the pit there. Yeah, Price Davis for the aforementioned driver, to say the least. It's going to be very rough. You can send a postcard at the time by the time he gets to the end of that drive-through. It's good to see some of the field is somewhat still close together in racing, unlike all these losers out the front.
Yeah, imagine being fast. What?
Yeah.
Just who'd do that?
No idea.
No, we had it right. Like we kept all clumped together at Nürburgring, didn't we, Austin, until a couple of nerds in the GTR came flying through the field and they turned up their pace.
I have no idea which nerd you could be possibly talking about. It's definitely not JC in the GTR causing havoc. Love you, JC.
No.
It's just.
But yeah, classic JC. Was good fun around Nürburgring though. Good race. As we're watching Darryl Lim in the not the GTR.
Oh,
this is the Mustang. This is the Mustang. Fun fact.
Yeah, it is. I was more concerned about Lloyd almost hitting Lim through turn 8. I was a bit concerned because Lloyd's just blue flagged to these drivers, of course. Just hitting towards the 53 minutes left mark. So just seen a couple of drivers now pit, so almost guaranteed a pit stop for the drivers. As I said, that might be able to make it, so I can't guarantee you that, but they might get close. Just have to do maybe even a splash and dash. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, it's just going to be a 90 minutes of just hot lapping for Paul Britt out there, I have to say. I'm hoping he's enjoying himself, because I would, not going to lie, even if I had to, had the honours of winning a race, and I'd be so bored out there, frankly. But
I mean,
of course, that'll never happen. I'm never that quick.
I mean, real life example. If anyone watches F1, Lando Norris in the last race was so far into P1 he nearly pulled it in the wall. So it can happen to the best of us, to be honest. As we're watching Zeri here make a move on Squirrers in Mustang on Mustang.
big speed delta. I think Squires didn't get the best run for Rouge, but maybe didn't want to climb. Squires was on the back of Spinazzi for a bit, but one of he's had a mistake or two. So he has fallen back considerably. Good to say, Zeri looks maybe the quicker out of the two with his teammate Spinazzi. He did out-qualify him, and has definitely been one of the, obviously, in that contention for silver class, which might as well be overall, frankly, with some of the drivers in the top of silver. We've seen how well Boskovis has been, and Zeri, they've always kind of been in there somewhat with the fight with their pros, even early in the season when we had Chris Taylor and Tom McDonald.
Yeah, just looking at the points now, just doing some maths. So we're looking at who's silver P2. So Boskovis in P2. He's currently clearing Zeri for points, so he's on for the win. And then going down to Pro-Am with Wesley Yao and Ryan King, who are right next to each other in the points. But with Ryan King's penalty, well, actually, regardless, with Wesley Yao in 7th, Ryan King would have to be 4th to overtake him for the Pro-Am Championship. So looking good for Wesley Yao as well at the moment.
Yeah, Wesley Yao was already ahead on point, and looks like Ryan King does have maybe a bit more pace, but yeah, with that penalty, it made his job, which was quite a hard job, to get 24 points over Wesley Yao even harder, to say the least. I'll never say never. You see the rate of ups and downs we've had so far in the first 40 minutes of this race. And obviously stay tuned, we'll have split green and do this all over again with 20 or 30 so new drivers after this one with I imagine Alexis and Jean-Pierre Sneakers. Replay here, can't remember who's in this car, but they're going very wide, they're going very sideways, both of them going, making up their own track basically, and unfortunately both found a wall. And that did look like Bishop, so look, he's still out there, and unfortunately, I'm not sure if that was a replay from yonks ago, but no, he's still out there circulating, and comes a cropper with someone else. Don't even know what to make of that, frankly. They both didn't make the corner, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for that McLaren there. I think the Aston went wide as well and didn't expect the McLaren to also go wide, and just lost track of things and then hit him again. Very, very unfortunate. As here with Abub now in, one says P10, the other says P11, but doesn't look like Stockton in front of him. There we go.
Yeah.
Yep, fun fact.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be the case. He's following Stockton nicely. I suspect maybe we're looking for a 50-50 strat here, go 45-45, but or you could go an hour and then go for like a half an hour sort of sprint, more sprint type finish to the end on some newer tyres. You see, as you saw, King's pitted, we said Greco's pitted, Piper pitted a long time ago, and there's unfortunately still at the back of the field due to the quite large amount of damage that he would have had after that incident at Eau Rouge, putting the car straight into the wall with just a bit of a loss of the rear end. So unfortunate one for him. He was having a very good race up until that point. But of course, at Spa, anything can happen. You can see William Kay he's fighting with Jared Ellsworth's got 10 seconds. So if Kay decides to pit, he'll have to serve that haircut a long way down the field. Speaking of a long way down the field, Britt is a long way ahead of Slade at the top of the field. Boskovis again, there's just large gaps at the top 5 area. We've got massive gaps of just the tyre wear and the different fuel and the different strategies that drivers are taking. So they can just sort of sit in their own groove and let them be and see when are they going to pit. Speaking of pitting, where's Yao's in the pit? So we'll see how that one plays out for him. Almost going a 50-50 strategy by the look of things. McCulley currently leading the M class. Is following Kidman. Kidman goes deep. They've got Lim behind. There's 2 Pro-Am cars here and an AM. I don't know where I would be at this point. Kay and Alice both into the pits now. So they're taking similar strategies. And there's the DT for Lloyd. 4 track limits. It was past the 50-minute mark.
Yeah, they lasted on longer than I think we said.
Out of the race. technically we're not 50 minutes into the race.
No, 50 minutes left.
No. We didn't specify.
Anyway, man's got a DT. That is very unfortunate. The single worst track to get a DT on. So not the best strategy. As we're watching McCulley try and make a move up on the inside here on the McLaren of Kidman. Keeps his nose in, keeps it to OOR. There's that curb again. Can't hit that curb.
Anymore.
Don't do it under braking and you'll be fine. It's a good save though from McCulley. I'll give him that. He kept it out of the wall. Kept it reasonably within control. Didn't get spin completely, so he did a nice job. I guess more so the big thing is just the damage limitation for him. Lim though, excuse me, just trying to keep up here with Kidman. Got the slipstream. Maybe there could be a pit stop made by, I would dare say, but Kidman should be the one to make it if he does, or Lim makes it because he thinks he's going to get held up. So two different strategies. Slady's jumped into the pits now, so he's going for a 50-50 type strategy. For the old half and half. He'll take new tyres and fuel, of course. So let's see. Ellis is still in the pits, and so is Kay. I feel like that's been quite a while, but maybe I'm wrong.
10 seconds.
There we go. Oh yes, the 10-second penalty.
I think Ellis may have had. I'm not too certain. I think a few of them have
Maybe
obviously
Ellis
served it.
Yeah, Ellis might have had damage too, but yes, you're definitely right. Kay had that 10-second, which is why he was stuck there. And that's Jerry coming through. These guys will be blue flagged. They'll have to let him pass. Paul Kranich, the community favourite himself, is currently holding on the back of Byrne at the moment. We'll see what Kranich's strategy is. He usually likes to pull out some weird and wacky strategies, so he might go for maybe an hour or even an hour, as long as the Ferrari can go, which I dare say is a while, and can go very deep into that final corner as well. Never mind.
That's a different kind of commentator's curse there.
Yeah.
You think he's going to do one thing, and he was clearly listening in and wanted to make a fool of you. So there you go. That was personal.
AWS insights from Mitchell Hobbs.
Yeah, yeah.
Very close to the wall.
Yeah. All right. See you, Daryl. See you, mate. That's. Oh, he's back again.
He's alive.
He's alive. His internet wasn't for a minute there, but that's okay. Do not panic.
Where's Slade come out of the pits now? So it's down in obviously P13. Obviously, quite a few cars ahead of him who haven't stopped. And yes, going well so far. I'm interested to see what Paul Britt does. I think because we had the same conditions at Silverstone. I'm pretty sure earlier this year. It was 90 minutes of fairly warm temperatures and no mandatory, and I was a fool and tried to go the whole way on fuel alone, and that was god awful, and I didn't even manage it. So I think gotta take tyres here, unless you can actually know something. Which I think what is his name? Ashley Reynolds tried to get by an hour split on fuel, and I think he said that it was only because of the first 4 laps he wasn't fuel saving. That's what kind of made a difference. So it's possible, it seems.
Yeah, I remember that race because I ended up catching Reynolds right near the end and racing him for P1. So I think I pushed him a little bit as well, because while we were racing he was having to keep up, and then the moment it got to about 2 laps left to go, and he just dropped like a stone because obviously he had to save a ton of fuel. So he was a bit of a tricky race, but he could do it. But I think he also mentioned the Merc actually can't one-stop Spa. I think it just chews too much fuel here. So I don't think anybody will be doing that. But whether they take tyres or not is probably the main choice that the drivers will be making tonight.
It's utterly miserable not taking tyres. I'm not very easy on my tyres as it is. Yeah, it's going to be a very easy decision for me this time. Greco, and to be honest, you can not take tyres, but it really doesn't make you don't end up really saving enough time in comparison to what you lose overall by taking tyres, because you're pretty much just 4-wheel sliding on every single corner towards the end of the race, and going forward isn't going sideways. Sorry, going sideways isn't going forwards. One of them's right.
Well, technically they're both correct. but the more pertinent one was your second one. As we're watching here with Greco chasing down the back of Liam K. Still a couple of good little battle packs going on here. Now that's a commentator's curse.
That's a curse. Hobbsy, get off the floor.
Breathe.
Yeah, I'm calm. It's fine. Let's have a look. The triple numbers on each other again, down towards Piff Paff, Sydney's, whatever you'd like to call it. Triple caution, and he's just cleaned him up. He's missed his braking
Sammy,
point.
you were braking the car.
He didn't even take him out for dinner first either, so I thought it was a bit rude. So that's going to be a slapping from the stewards. They've got their bottle of whiskey out, I think, now after seeing a couple of these incidents. So, it's very nicely done, the stewards, this race. They've given out some fair penalties, and been very nicely cut the cars. They've been blue flagged, you can see. So Britty's actually in the pits now. So he will, I was concerned when he was going to pit because I didn't really know when he was going to, where he was going to come out in the field. As I saw Slade was in his own little bubble, but there were some cars not too far up the road from him, so maybe Britt might come in that. I think it's a battle of maybe two or three cars. Maybe they'll pit or so. And Babs also forgotten where his braking point is into the bus stop, so he's gone a little bit deep, loses a little bit of time, but he's going to continue on. Whether he's going to try and continue to the end on not pitting, I know he's certainly one who will give that a go.
I think Britt might just clear those cars because he was just about 10 seconds ahead of Slade. And I'd wager those, the 33 and the other car that's with it going through the bus stop right now is a little bit more than 10 seconds ahead, and 33 comes into the pits. So it will just be what looks to be the 89 of Bishop, I believe, is 89. I don't think there's any threat for Mr. Britt here coming through the pits, unless he's got it wrong, but he's already rolling. And Slady's not even at the, only just going through Le Coombs right now. So Stan Blaskovas takes over the lead in the GTR. I won't be surprised if he boxes. That's a line.
Just giving himself a couple of warnings, making sure his game's still paying attention, I guess. Hopefully he hasn't got 3 yet. We have only had 1 DT, so not the worst, but not jinxing it, I promise. But yeah, I suspect Blaskovas to come in this lap as well, probably, if not very soon, as we have another 15-second penalty for Greco for causing a collision. That was probably that one that we saw a couple of laps ago into the back of Rondinella, wasn't it? I forgot. But anyway.
I think we're all caught up. So stewards, take a breather. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you're chained to that desk anyway.
Take a shot.
Take a shot. Looks like Squire's coming into the pits. What was he doing down here? Was he lapping these guys? I'm not too certain.
Does appear to be, yes. If he is in P4, so he was probably coming up on the blue flags, and there's probably lined up pretty well for him. He was probably going to pit around this time anyway, and it gets him out of traffic now, so pretty good.
Sorry. So Zarian's Blaskovas also in the box as well.
Stop go 30 for Stockton.
Oh,
yeah, pit lane.
That's quite severe speed.
Now we thought DTs were bad.
Well, you do get a variation between DT and SG30, I'm pretty sure, for speeding, and it's measured on how badly you've messed it up. But, yeah, I found this is kind of one of the harder places to speed into the pit lane, personally. Not impossible, that's for damn sure. Good speed anywhere, frankly. As Greco gets it all wrong and is under the threat from Ellis, and Ellis just blows right through him. And Greco saw him coming and didn't want to attract any more fury from the stewards. Bammy in the pits as well. Trundle's down as well. I do like the word trundling. I like to think these guys are just like, shopping trolleys.
Shopping trolleys are basically beds for them at this point because the pit lane's so long, you may as well have a nap. So I'm sure he's having a good little rest as he gets down to his pit box. Mechanics are sitting there waiting for him.
I think you can have just as much fun in a sports car, or just as much fun in a shopping trolley than you could in a sports car. Personally, it's what you make of it.
Well, I'm going to push you down a very steep hill in a trolley and see how you feel.
I've seen people ride wheelie bins down Bathurst.
Yeah, but they're silly.
What's wrong with silly?
It's a good way to die.
Forget you don't like fun, do you?
No.
No fun.
I was about to say
no fun.
No.
I've seen what you look like though.
Yeah, well, look, that's bad enough.
Very
Jerry,
serious
what's happened
looking.
here? Yeah, we're always serious. Maybe
normal.
a
Looks
knock
normal.
Could be a knock on the pit exit.
Looks normal. Bit of a bounce there, as normal.
Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. I thought he might have had a bit of a tap there on the right-hand side on the exit. He's done okay there. As Stockton comes into the pits to use his stop go 30 up. Lucky him, he's got to serve it. Got that slapping from the game for speeding. Must have been going pretty quick too, because you only get that when you're about, I think it's about 56 k's and above or something. Somewhere along those lines. So that's a proper slapping on the game's part for that one. And Rondinella, this is with Alice. And Greco with the 15-second penalty is looking in behind. And Rondinella, he's not going to get it done. He's gone way too deep. I didn't know what he was going to do with Alice there. He's back where he was. He's got Greco behind. If Greco's faster, I'd almost be letting him through and just taking the position with the post-race penalty there. But we'll see what the play is. Maybe Rondinella wants to attack first and then maybe let him through. I'm quite sure.
Yeah, you can sort of lean a little bit on gamesmanship and sort of some more different plans with those sorts of things, because maybe you've seen Greco does have the pace, just having a bit of a rough race, so maybe let him attack the car ahead of you and maybe you get 2 extra spots on it. But he's got the 15-second penalty at the moment, so you know the spot's yours at the end of the race as it currently stands, but maybe he just wants to defend because maybe he thinks he's got enough pace to pull that gap on him. As here we were with Liam Kay, Byrne and Paul Kranich coming through the right-left, as I mentioned before. A couple of little battle packs. The field definitely has separated more about an hour into the race, but still a couple of good races going on here.
A little bit wide from Byrne, and leaves the door open for Liam Kay, but they saw Peter equal pegging on the exit as the S18 does pull ahead. Not doing terribly is the Aston, but doesn't look like this has been as strong as it has been in the latest rounds. And Kranich here just to capitalise as well. They're going to get blue flag shortly because I think that is Kumar just behind him, who is yet to serve the stop. So he's right up the pointy end, currently showing as I think P3 or P2, but obviously yet to serve the stops. Not that they have to, but I doubt he's going all the way to the end.
Yes, less a have to as forced by game rules, and more a have to if it's just physically not possible to get your car to the end of the race without stopping. So, but we'll see who manages to try and go the longest, I guess, if that's their plan. Maybe some splash and dashes at the end for the real crazy drivers.
Track down now to 30, so it is cooling down significantly. Moderately mild, to say the least. Actually, no, technically Kumar is leading the race right now. And wonder where he is relative to Paul Britt. Car 37. Trying to check to see on the map. He's about the length, just a bit more than the Camel. The Camel and the Eau Rouge behind Kumar. So about 20 seconds. Interested to see that there's still a substantial gap, obviously, with the pit stops. It's a substantial time loss. What was it? I think here it's like 90 seconds, or is it not that bad? If you do a 30-second stop, it's probably could be more than that, actually.
Stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Britty actually getting... I mean, Brit's getting held up. Not that it's going to make a difference. 11 seconds to Slade. He can just push through slowly. And, I mean, Kidman hasn't pitted yet, so if you want to look at it that way, technically it's for position.
It gives Britt something to do, I think, for this race. At least.
Yeah, wow, that's very true. It does give him something to do, but he's got a good exit, and I think he's going to get this one done pretty well here on Kidman. And Kidman gives him racing room, and yeah, just lets him through. Was trying to fight it a little bit, but no real need, given the gap to Slade, and then even further back, another 11 seconds from Slade to Buskovus, and then 12 to Spinazzi, and Jerry's 5 behind with Squires 4 behind. So gaps really just showing what can happen here at Spa. Ellis, down the inside, Lim went deep, and he got a little bit caught out. Rondinella needs to get a good exit, maybe get some slipstream here. Greco behind. Don't think he's going to get anything. Let's not go too wide up, Rouge. I am going to clench very hard. Ellis backs out. That was a wise choice. I didn't know he was going to handle that. Lim, Jesus. Oh, Ellis, holy moly, Jeebus. Okay, rightio then. That was scary.
Last thing you want to be doing in one of these cars is making a save at the top of Eau Rouge there, but very well managed. He's kept the car pointing forward to fight for another day. And I think looked like Lim might have gotten a track cut at the top there. I wasn't paying too much attention. I was distracted by the huge catch. But anyway, driver's clearly pushing hard. Yeah, clearly pushing hard. Still good, some racing going on here. 30 minutes left to go. No idea who hasn't actually pit yet, because obviously the game doesn't track it when there's no mandatory stops. But yeah, everyone's still a little bit out of order here at the moment.
Those should be, yeah. Those should be the last ones. And definitely the ones that will reinstate Paul Britt as a. I think someone's still ahead of Paul Britt, that said, actually. Could be wrong on that front. Oh, that's good. Who's in? Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, there we go. Wasn't sure where Bob now was in relative scheme of things. Babby back up to P12. Hopefully you can make an attempt on a Porsche and not be killed. Oh, 121 is stopped off. Who's that? I think that's Stockton, just judging by the colours. Yes, it is. On the exit of Eau Rouge and Radion. So we saw Ellis do a good save, and might be a case of wasn't the case with Stockton. I was going to say it was pretty impressive, considering he was in a mid-engine car. With front-engine cars, you get a little bit more leeway. Have a tendency to overcorrect with the mid-engine cars.
Yeah, I suspect some sad death there, as he also returned to pits, so probably too damaged, as we have a replay of what I assume will be happening, yes, as he comes through the final corners. So we'll have to... Oh, looks like he's already got some issues.
No, it was just blue flag. He was wondering if he should go left, and then he went right. He kind of was indecisive a little bit.
Yep.
He had to let Spinazzi through.
So here's the replay, him come up to Eau Rouge and Rodillion. I believe we're going to see some sadness here. A little bit of error wash from Mustang ahead. Hits the curb on the inside. Yep. That is a huge accident.
That went very late. I don't know if he maybe lifted a little bit, but it looked like the... Yeah, very odd. Sometimes it's usually like a, sort of a long, lazy slide. I wonder if he maybe came off the throttle a little bit, because that can also lead it sometimes as the, especially as the track starts to fall away as it transitions into Radion. Can catch some out. Benjamin Piper down in P17. Oh, as matching the green of the grass with his Mustang. Not too ideal. Obviously, Benjamin Piper forgot where he had a considerable crunch earlier on. Has slowly been recovering things.
What's he done there? Just the where he was, I was a little bit perplexed as to how he even ended up there in the first place. Let's have a look down. No name. Has something happened with Ellis, maybe?
Astro.
And Ellis just helped him along. That's not really anything in Ellis's control he could have done there. So just a bit of a rough exit there. Maybe just gassed it up a bit too early for Lim. Kumar comes out of the pits. Looks like that's about to go past. So he's going to end up being P9. He hasn't repaired the damage on the front. He's able to handle that by the look of it. So he would have lost some extra time had he repaired that. So it's good decision. He's got 27 minutes left, so we'll see how he goes. Here is Ben Piper, who had that large amount of damage earlier after hitting the wall up Eau Rouge. He's trying to catch up to the back of Greco and get past. He's got the 15-second penalty does Greco to have to deal with, so I'm hoping he just lets Piper go through and have a bit of an attack on Rontanella up with Ellis as well to get the best overall position at the end of the race.
Yeah, so watching him come up the hill here, probably going to maybe get a slingshot on the McLaren with the huge brutish V8 in the front of that Bentley, but the McLaren itself is pretty quick, so I don't think he'll be trying to make any moves from this far back around here, but it looks like he's got a decent amount of pace, trying to get a little bit higher up, as we see Paul Brett putting in some more fastest laps. Clearly fresh tyres with much less fuel than what he started the race with, so he's down in the 17.5s, very, very, very quick, especially in race pace.
I've been wondering about the Bentley, and maybe you can shed some light on this, but you would think it maybe would be quite a, when you look at things on paper, it'd be a good match for Spa. You know, it's out of all the front-end cars, it's always been a good aero platform. It's had been able to generate decent downforce when it's needed to, but and obviously has a little bit of poke from the engine. Somehow just kind of falls up short apparently around here.
It's always been that way, you know. It's got around the outside of Greco, first part of Piff Path. It's very well done. It's always a car that's had good exits, you know, overall, but obviously exits isn't necessarily something, especially in the middle sector, that's going to help him too much. The straight line speed lets the Bentley down a bit, and it doesn't really have the cornering speed it used to. Of course, good on fuel, good on tyres, so it sort of helps in that respect of things, but in a general sense, it's certainly not the car for Spa, and it really has been, and it doesn't make complete sense, but, you know, I think it is a massive fridge, I guess, as well.
Yeah, who knows, like, you know, I used to really kind of compare, like, Spa and Bathurst, like, they're very different circuits, but there were kind of some cars that were good at Bathurst, like, to be honest, the old Mercedes and the Bentley, and the Bentley obviously still is, and I think the Mercedes, to be fair, is still very good around Bathurst, but here, I mean, the Mercedes used to be really good around here as well, but we're talking a long time ago now, and unfortunately not really so much the case. Maybe it's the same with the Bentley. It's a shame because, I don't know, Wilsley, sort of it's in my maybe section to go back to the Bentley, might actually not drive a brand new car for once come the new sprint season, but I did enjoy my last season with the Bentley, and yeah, on the maybe list.
Yeah, so I think for a lot of people, they'll find once the calendar comes out, that'll probably define the choices a bit more, and then they can make their car choice from that, because I know some people certainly like to see, you know, if it's going to be more of a front-engine calendar or if it's going to be a mix. Most of the times it's a mix of, you know, front-engine, mid-engine, and the Porsche just sort of fits in where it can. So let's see when they come out.
It's hard to judge with the BOP now, I will say.
Oh yeah, there is that too, BOP. To be honest, I really don't care what the BOP is, I just want to drive a car. But yeah, that certainly can affect some people's choices as well. Bentley Piper just getting a little bit squirrely, the car's just not quite got the grip, you know, through Pouon. Through Piff, he should have a good run through here. The car should pull, and he does jump into third. The car's got so much torque that it should just glide him through here nicely, and it does. It's a nice solid exit, no real looseness in the rear end. And he's off into the top 15. He's got a bit of a gap to Rontanella ahead though. Maybe that's just where he's losing some time with the car sliding and not getting it quite turned in certain spots. But some big gaps ahead for him to close, and I don't really think he's going to be able to close them. There's 22 minutes left. Not a lot he can do, but he can certainly just push and see where he gets to.
Yeah, I think he'll stand in good stead to get Rontanella. It's definitely close enough for him. But maybe some of the ones up ahead, that's Rontanella's only 2.5 seconds off Ellis. But Ellis is showing good pace today, just been a bit unlucky to say the least. And yeah, obviously pretty good season overall. I don't know. I'd say I'd weigh caution to what you're saying about, you know, putting too much emphasis on your car choice when you see the calendar, because I picked I was choosing between the McLaren and the Porsche, and I went McLaren for this season based a bit more on the calendar, and it's really not really worked out for me, I will say. You know, not just because of the car, but I don't know. I'm keen to get out the McLaren. Shame though, so I actually quite enjoy the car. It's difficult. Obviously, if you're a Paul Brit, it's very, very good, to say the least.
Yeah, sort of. McLaren has that sort of the way that you drive it is because it's really limited in the game, and I've heard in real life actually from some drivers. The front end can be so pointy, which is great for those who can handle it, but otherwise it can be very, very, very twitchy. I did take the McLaren for the Spa 24 hour back when I don't believe it was bopped, so it was very quick, but it would like to kill you a lot. So fun when you can get a grasp on it, but yeah, sort of understand your pain there. I'm just going to bring up as well, for those who are interested, knowing this is the last race of the season, we do have some more races coming up. There is the Trio Series, which is coming up in October on the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd. We've got some multi-class racing with some GT2s, GT4s, and M2s. Feel free to jump in, a bit more fun, a bit more casual, but the grid is half full so far, so make sure you get your team entries in soon.
Indeed. Yeah. Thanks for reminding us on that one. Be great to see. Obviously very different. No GT3s. What? But yes, have fun those in the M2. I'm sure you're gonna get treated very nicely by all the old quicker cars, I promise.
Yes, M2s like to get bullied, but they are the best cars on track in that series. Not biased. M2s are a lot of fun. And then also, actually, following up a little bit later in the year, on the 30th of November, we have the brilliant 24 hours of Nordschleife. So looking for more teams to fill out that endurance race as well. You can have a team of 2 if you're crazy, up to 6 for 24. So make sure you get your mates together and come do the 24-hour race on the 30th of November.
Just don't drive that car.
Now, why would you say that? Who on earth would drive the GTR around the ring? Yeah, here we are. Here's our wonderful little graphics. As you can see, we have Watkins Glen, Suzuka, and Silverstone for the Trio Series, all great tracks. And then the Nordschleife. So yes, some very, very good racing coming up in the last part of the year here at Octane Online Racing.
Good to see everyone there. I'm sure everyone will be there, at least for the 24 hours. It always tends to bring everyone from the immediate community, the obviously Asia Pacific community, but also from North Americans and Europeans as well, like to all game, sort of race together. It's good to get those guys from the other states to race, do the night stints as well. Helps quite a bit. I think it's better in Piper having a little bit look on Rondinella here. But yeah, always great to see you. And Nordschleife should definitely be big enough for most of the cars. I'm already sort of dreading and also excited to see how Octane Online Racing gets around there, because yeah, I'll just leave it at that. It's a racetrack, that place. It's a racetrack. As Lloyd gets out of the way, not ideally there. I don't think Ronald will be too happy. He's got a bad run. I don't think Piper's got to get him. As meanwhile, Ellis is on the back of Kidman now. Don't think he'll have a run into Blanchimont. Kidman goes through nicely, goes a bit wide, that said. And yes, a little bit awkward there. So I think Ronald is holding off the Bentley as well.
It'll be interesting to see how long he's able to defend from Piper, because he clearly looks like he has a lot of pace. As here we have a replay after passing that blue flag. It looks like he did manage to hold onto the spot, but it must have been close, because here we see him side by side coming up to Blanchimont, but you really don't want to be on the outside there. So good car placement from Rondinella as he just gets ahead, has the inside and keeps his nose ahead. So yeah, good racing, but Piper is looking very, very feisty at the moment as he defends the middle of the track, makes Piper go around the outside. Does he get the switchback through the bus stop? Unsure. He's still behind, so it doesn't look like he has, but now he's going to have the run down the straight coming out of Eau Rouge and Radeon. We'll see if he's close enough to make a move by the end, but the Aston is pretty quick in a straight line, so I don't think he will.
Yeah, it's a little bit squirrely on the exit of Radeon as well, so it wasn't the best from the Bentley. Does like to get going. Ooh, Rondanella's rear tyres are not loving life too much as well. They got a really bad exit through the last part of the comms, and Bentley's going to go out as Kidman is all off the grass and into the what was the gravel trap back in the past. But yeah, very weird. Maybe get a replay on what happened to Kidman there, because he was fighting with Ellis. You can see now Ellis almost four-wheel drifting it over the curbs in the first part of the source. Very close to him on the back. I'll be surprised if there isn't contact here, because it's all got all the hallmarks of the predecessor. So, oh dear.
Wow.
Oh.
Right in the worst spot. Yeah, that's going to hurt. That one.
I'm not going to judge on whose fault that was, but I don't know if Kidman did a lot wrong in that one. Unfortunately, he's paid the biggest price for it.
I don't think his car's in a good stead. Yeah, no, it's not in a good way, and he's not. Yeah, I mean, the steering wheel's almost straight, not quite. It's almost straight.
Drivable. It's fine. Still going forward.
A 1960s Mustang.
Yeah. Yes. There's just plenty of play in the steering wheel, and it just goes nowhere. Rondanella, though, he's had a very solid, consistent race. He's inside the top 15 at this point. He's got Piper up ahead. Might want to pull that slipstream along. Not that, they're not really close to Ellis. He's there on the track, but is 15 minutes going to be enough to catch him? He's the only one at this rate that they are going to catch, because
might not need to catch him.
Yeah, might not need to catch him. This is very true. And Ellis is 17 seconds behind Bub now, so not much that can be done for Piper now. He's just got to keep pushing and see where he gets to.
Looking at those last lap times, though, they were 2 seconds faster. Well, at least Piper was 2 seconds faster, as here we have the 15-second penalty for
I don't think that's right.
Ellis.
So
could be a separate penalty. You never know.
Could be. I don't think they're that drunk in the shoe, I suppose.
Oh, that's true.
Drunk yet, but
yeah.
You got a whole other race, a whole other split to go.
But that sort of puts these two in sort of a gap of their own, because obviously Greco behind them's got 15 seconds, and now Ellis ahead of them's got 15 seconds. He's not going to catch up to Bub now. I don't think Lim's going to be catching up to the back of these guys. So it looks like these guys have settled in for the last 14 minutes, barring any human error, which is always possible around here. But yeah, it looks like coming up to these 15 minutes, there's a couple of small groups, but everyone seems to have found their place on track and is just bringing it home at this point.
Yeah, I like Spa, but I think sometimes everyone gets quite spaced out sometimes at this track. It was quite bouncy from the Ford coming over the curves a little bit there. It's not the ideal thing you want a car bouncing on the entry.
Confirmed from the stewards, by the way, that they are completely blind drunk. Not actually. They just they typoed the lap. So that is on them. It was for that accident that we saw going into the corner before No Name. Forgot its name. But yeah.
We're quite caught up. Roussels is what it says on mine, so.
Brussels sprouts.
The roundy one.
Yes, exactly. The roundy one. Through the com now, Kumar comes. It's just the gaps are really pulled out over, and Spencer's got to drive through, I suspect, for truck limits. I don't like that.
Wow.
That's unfortunate. I think Spencer was trying to pull off the very early pit stop. I think he was one of the ones that stopped nearly before the hour mark, so not sure how that race has gone for him, but the DT certainly won't help. As here we are with Wesley Yao, our current Pro-Am leader, and it looks like he is coming in to settle this championship very, very firmly. Good race from him today.
I was going to say, yeah, it's great driving as well. I always love how the Porsche when it's not at speed, like sort of when it's at normal pace, and at the front it looks like it's really high off the ground, but on any high speed, the rear looks like it's almost like touching the ground, to say the least. The Mustang goes a bit wide there, and Phil McCulley in the who knows what it is, unidentified car that no one drives anymore, following another car that no one drives anymore either. But to be fair, no one did drive the Lexus ever. Only sadists. So it looks like a pretty simple one. I would have got the swing here. Limbs had a few moments to say, probably had a bit of a moment through Eau Rouge to warrant that kind of a pass from the Mercedes. Going well. It's been some very good driving, I think, overall from Split Yellow somewhat over the season. It feels like the early races were quite a while ago. Obviously, we had the burnout-free takedown tribute of Kota for all the splits, where everyone got in trouble, frankly. I don't think that anyone got away from the stewards from the paddles. It's been an interesting season. I think Austin probably enjoys this season. Just a inkling.
No idea why you'd say that, but it has been a lot of fun. I am trying to gather the brain cells at the moment and do the maths. I think Paul Kranich has got the AM Championship. I'm just trying to figure it out, because I think McCulley might overtake Ben Winton for P2, but it's a bit close. I'm just trying to do numbers at the moment. But I think everything else has been sorted as well. So I think, looking through the list here, I believe Buskovich will pull out silver. Spinazzi is obviously going to pull out pro. And Yao's got the Pro-Am Championship. So looks like everyone who started P1 in their positions at the start of this race has closed it out. So good job all to them. But yeah, it's been a good season. Well done to those drivers.
Yes, it's been a good one, but it has been one of the longer ones. 8 races this 8 rounds. Sorry, more races, of course, depending on the round. Having 2 races in them. So, been overall, obviously, there's been the ups and downs, some incidents, some big penalties, controversial moments, things like that. But I mean, overall, it's been a very entertaining season, I hope, for the viewers, and especially has been for us in the commentary box. As I say that, lady decides to make it more entertaining, and Buskovich is going to get past.
10 minutes, and the car 29 has zipped by right there, and it's going to take P2. Oh, that's unfortunate for Mercedes. Ben, to be honest, I've done a really good drive. You know, he did lose P2 off the start, but he's shown really good pace relative to Paul Britt as well, and
I bet you to be yeah.
Oh dear. Oh no, inside curb.
Inside on the left curb. Yeah, with the aero change and wall.
Yeah, that reminds me a little bit of when we drove the Ferrari for the Spa 24. It was if you got it wrong, it didn't really take much to fly off. It's pretty good. He went pretty far down the track without hitting anything for the most part. Tires would be pretty shotted though, that said. I don't think that's going to be any consolation to him, because he's not going to be happy with himself. 18 minutes in, that's pretty rough.
It is, but unfortunately that's part of racing, and it's just one of those things where you got the Lila fuel, you mistake your line once, and you do pay the price, unfortunately, and he has paid it in quite a big way, losing out a second position to Stan Buskovich, but he's still he's had a good run, and certainly deserved. I think we'll see Buskovich and Slade up in the pro class next season, probably, certainly possibly even Jerry, maybe even Squires as well. They've had some good performances throughout this season. And we see Babsy here's actually, after starting at the back of the grid, made his way to the top 10 in 10th. So he has had a cracking race. He did sort of the 50-50 strategy, going 45 and 45 on his stints, and he's pulled his way up into P10. He's got almost 7 seconds to his mate Bub now behind. So He'll be happy with that performance, I reckon. Greco here, though, is fighting with Rondinella at the moment with 7 minutes to go. Can something happen here? Yeah, maybe, but Greco's got that penalty, so it's not going to be much of a consolation for him.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys might enjoy a bit of a race coming to the end, because obviously it's possibly been a little bit boring for the last 10 minutes, but also maybe a little bit of self-preservation. Don't want to have to force any dangerous moves at this point and make things worse. So maybe Greco will hold back, or maybe Rondinella, if he thinks he has the pace, will just let him go, because he knows he's got that spot with the 15-second penalty. But only 6 minutes left, probably about 4 laps looking at where Brit is at the moment. Yeah, nearly finished after a total of 90 minutes around this wonderful track.
On split game, because the timetables have been shifted, obviously, to account for the longer races. So we'll be catching them hopefully right on qualifying as well. 6 minutes left to go here. The split yellow. It comes to a close, as I said. I think most of the ones at the top of their classes, like Austin alluded to, are going to stay put. They're all in pretty good positions. I think there'll be no changes at the top of each class, basically. Spinazzi, Buscovas, Yao, and Kranich all lead up the 4 respective classes. Ryan King there in P9, 2 places behind Wesley Yao. I think even with that penalty, it was going to be too much to Cask. Would have been close between them, that said, though.
Yeah, just after looking at it a bit more, the leaders coming into this race are going to close it out after this race, as everything stays as is. The only major change is, I believe, McCulley with his P16 will get to P2. He will overtake Winton, who wasn't racing tonight, I believe. Otherwise, I haven't done any other P2s or P3s for the other series, but yeah, the leaders coming in are taking them out at the end of this race.
Yeah, I imagine Ryan King will stay as P2 in Pro-Am, and Zeri as well, I can't imagine will be. Obviously, Pro Clash doesn't really count. Buscovas is P2 overall anyway, so he'll stay where he is. Yeah, McCulley, not sure if he missed the last race, because he was, I think, leading up P2 in AM for a couple rounds, and then fell back behind Winton. Obviously, Winton isn't here. But Kranich has always been, and hence why he is leading AM class and look to take things out. As he always ever present, always making it to the end. You always get points if you finish. And that's why it's always good to never throw in the towel, because those points might really matter in some cases.
I can definitely vouch for just consistency sometimes. I have personally performed very well this season, and I haven't got a single fastest lap. So, you don't have to be the fastest to take things out sometimes. So yeah, it's always good to just show up and make sure you finish these races, get all the points that you possibly can, because they do make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency, as we say, is always key, and Paul Kranich, I think he's always a driver that really proves that point. Is he's never pushing for mid-pack, top of field. He's always just sort of putting around at the back, doing his laps, and he's up in the top 20. So it's great to see him just doing his thing with only 2 laps to go here. He's in his own little bubble. He's got 17 seconds to burn in front, and he's got a big gap to Spenceley behind. So he's guaranteed P2 in the AM class for this race, and for him to take out the AM class win, which is a fantastic feat for him. He's a very experienced driver, Paul. He's been in OOR for many seasons now, and he's always one that we love seeing out on the field doing his best. The front of that Mustang looks a bit sad, doesn't it? Bit of damage, of course, from that earlier, a little bit of hit of the wall from Lim. Just lost it on the exit, a no name. Just a little bit unfortunate to see, but he's just moving along, getting on with it with his final race in that Mustang. We'll see what the drivers jump into next season. We'll see some drivers make some big switch ups, and see some stick with their trusted machinery for next season. Piper, though, has pulled the gap close to Ellis, which is good enough to will get him past here, Ellis, with the penalty. But again, that's as far as he will get. He's got a big gap to Bub now. So a top 12 is a very solid response for Piper, given the incident he had earlier up Eau Rouge, putting the car quite heavily in the wall on the outside there at the pit lane exit. And he's done it really nicely there on the recovery to make his way back up, especially into the top 15, and to get to 12th at the end of the race will be a very good feat for him. And say he's another very experienced driver. So you see Greco, he's fighting with Rondinella again. If I was Rondinella, I would just back out of this, given that Greco's got a 15-second penalty and Greco's almost lost it. Holy moly. That had me worried.
That was off-throttle oversteer if you ever saw it.
Yeah, it's got to be tricky with those kinds of things. It's hard enough to go 2x2 through Blanchimont at the best of times, but then you lift and it unsettles the car, and then you're saving a huge accident, which he has luckily done, but it was not what you want to be doing with a minute left in the race. You're nearly home. So as they're coming up now to what will likely be their last lap. Actually, no, they'll probably have to do another because Paul Britt's just gone across, so they're just ahead. So they've got another one after this. As here we are with Piper chasing down the back of Ellis. I'm sure he'll definitely want to try and get this done on track for a little bit of bragging rights, I reckon.
Absolutely, and he's trying to force Ellis deep, but he's not falling for it.
He's done it. Nope.
He did the final part, no, but he's rejoined, and he's just got the exit right, and Piper's just waiting his time. This is the second to last lap as Britt's on the final lap here. He crossed the line with about a minute or so to go. So he will be looking to try and get this one done, Piper, if he can, on Ellis. Not that it's a huge problem if he doesn't, but of course getting the position on track over a penalty is always a nice feeling for a driver. They want to do the best they can and finish as high as they can regardless of any penalties ahead of them. So he's going to do his best. Ellis is on the Pro-Am podium at this point, and he will stay there because he's got a big gap to Lim behind. So he will take P3 in the Pro-Am, going a little bit deep into pit path. Piper just trying to put the pressure on, and does. He's going to look around the outside towards Stavilo 1 maybe. And can't quite get it done. Can't get the run, goes wide. Hopefully that's not a warning for him, given that this is the second last lap for him. We hope that he holds that one together. They don't get too far back either, so we'll see in the slipstream. Can he get something done in that Bentley? Look, I don't think so. As I said, it's not the best on the top speed. The Bentley, it's better on sort of the corner exits and things like that. Unless Ellis makes a huge mistake, he should be able to hold him behind, especially through the middle part of the track, where he just needs to make the track wide enough so that the car can't get through. Paul Britt, though, we haven't seen a lot of him throughout this race. He's had a very clean, consistent race, and he's pulled off a huge win here, 24 seconds over Busquets. He's going to take the win here at Spa. What a drive. I mean, there's nothing more you can say about Britt. He's a very experienced driver, very fast. He knows what he's doing, and he proves that here today. Busquets inherited that P2 very, very late into this race, 80 minutes in off Slade, who had that error up Eau Rouge and Radion. So he's going to take P2, a very deserved P2 regardless. He's driven a fantastic race again. Slade, just an unfortunate little incident there at the end, settles him with P3 and takes him to P2 for silver in this race. And Spinazzi, our overall champion, pro champion for split yellow by quite a margin, comes home in P4. A nice, again, solid, consistent race for him. And bright green Mustang of Jerry behind comes through to take P5 and P3 in the silver class. Aiden Squires comes across in his Ozcam racing car in the Mustang and takes P6. Weziao, our Pro-Am champion, is coming across the line now. Very deserved win for him in the Pro-Am class overall and in this race. Kumar Was a little bit further back at the start of the race, but he comes up into the top 10, and what a race it was for him as well.
Yeah, very solid race for everyone in the top 10 here, particularly number 10, the 666 car of Michael Babb, getting up to the top 10. That's a very good race from him. Obviously, he started from the back and even had a little accident near the start of the race, but still managed to get back there. So very well done from him, as Bub now comes across in 11th, just outside, followed later by Jared Ellis, who will have to serve his 15-second penalty after the race, and Piper's just backed off just a little bit, but he'll inherit that position from him. This here we have Greco coming up behind Rondinella. Probably tried to make that move as well, but just couldn't quite pull it off. 15 seconds is going to put him back. It looks just the one spot, as Lim had already finished the lap down. So he'll lose that to McCulley and dropping to 16th. As here comes McCulley, the leading AM. What a great race to finish in P16. Finish him P2 overall in the championship as well. So yeah, very good race from him today.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a quick look at the race results before we hurriedly move over to split green. Overall, Paul Britty takes the win. Spinaze will take the P2 in the pro class, and Buskovus and Slade up in the podium positions with Jerry and Squires there. In the silver class, we'll have Buskovus take the win. Slade and Jerry are your top three. In the pro-am class, we'll have Weziao, who takes out the win overall. King and Ellis do take it out there. And McCulley, Kranich, and Lloyd are your top three in the AM class. Any final thoughts, lads, here for Split Yellow before we move on over?
Not really. It's been a great season to watch and to co-commentate with you, Austin, and with you, Mitch. And thank you to our broadcasters. Obviously, been Brent Sykes tonight, and obviously for the last few rounds as well, but also to Glenn in the past as well for Split Yellow and for many other splits as well. Thank you, everyone who puts it on for the scenes, all stewards, race directors, and of course, people who show up to do the racing.
Yeah, absolutely. We do send a shout out to our stewards, and it has been a pleasure, gents, to commentate alongside you both throughout this season. It's been a very entertaining season overall, and can't wait to see what next season brings with us all back in the cars. We'll see how the racing goes in next season. But for now, it is goodbye from myself, Cameron, and Austin as we go to a quick break as we move over to Split Green, where you'll be joined by Alexis Bowen, Jean-Pierre Sneakers, and Lindsay Muddle to take you through another 90 minutes here at Spa.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final round of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series, here now for split screen at Spa-Francorchamps. My name is Alexis Bowen, and joining me tonight is the ever-wonderful John-Pierre Sneakers and Lindsay Muddle. How are you two?
I'm very well. I'm quite surprised by who is seeing on pole, but that should make for a fairly interesting race. I look forward to 90 minutes of the inferior Belgian racetrack, and hopefully it'll be a nice, clean race.
And it begins from Peach already talking about Zolder, as you'll find out. But yeah, I am excited to be here for 90 minutes, and yeah, I mean, McLaren starting on pole with a Mustang who'll be chomping at the bit as we head up the Camel Straight, I'm sure, and we have a great race start ahead of us.
Yeah, some very interesting positions. Naim there in McLaren, haven't seen a lot of him really all season, and he is here at Spa, and he's taken that pole position away from the usual occupant of Brad Cook. McAdam with a really good qualifying there in the Bentley, with Rashudi and Taufik close behind. Jusman leading the way once again for the non-pro drivers there in 6, with Barker and Hignett rounding out the 4th row. Then Turcolini and Hill, the last drivers in the top 10 before we get to Vintner Smith. Here is Alex Pascal Armstrong, the other promotee to the Pro-Am class alongside Jusman. Jacob Wellerburn will be very disappointed with P14 in qualifying there. Be looking for more in the race. Purcell in 15th in that beautiful Pit Viper Ferrari. Wong there in the Lamborghini, doing nicely there in 16th. Dylan King there in 17th in the making an Aston row there with Carter. Then we had Rad and Rando rounding out your top 20 before we get down to Austin there, your lead AM class driver in this race so far. And Foster also on the same row, 604 McLaren. Then we get to Foxcross in the Fisley Motorsport Ferrari, Beaton in the Flying Wombat McLaren, Ningjiang in the number 30 Vacation Racing Ferrari, Lawson in the Mojo Racing Porsche, Symes in the 65 Aston Martin, the beautiful Springbok livery, and Rackmats in last. The first challenge in the final race of the season. I think he's going to be a threat in this one.
Yeah, last to first will be, I would say, a challenge given the quality of sort of especially that top 8, 9, 10 roughly there. Even Vinton and Smith are both very, very fast operators, so that's quite a bit of a climb. But when you have 90 minutes to do it, and you have a driver as fast as Fudley in a car that's fairly good around here, I think that'll make for some interesting watching as they go through. But good to see McAdam. He hasn't been the best qualifier this season. He's been very, very strong on race pace, and especially his braking ability has been absolutely phenomenal. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. He will be a little bit down in terms of just straight line performance, but the Bentley is fairly strong in that middle sector. So yeah, gonna be interesting to see if Naim can nail the start and get ahead of Cook and try and build the lead. As we've seen this season, Cook has either gotten the lead very early on or just sort of stayed patient and then eventually got the lead and been a very, very strong performer. So going to be interesting to see if he can finally be dethroned.
Yes, indeed, of course, Cook being the current championship leader, and you would say the favourite to take out the Split Green Championship here. So we head into Pony. Still running his chocolate livery from the chocolate-themed rounds that we had earlier on in the season. Very unique, very lovely, all brown livery. I mean, wasn't specified it was chocolate. You may have thought of something else that is a little bit brown, but unlike that substance, his driving has been anything but.
Is it mud or chocolate pudding?
Well, I mean, if it was chocolate pudding, then it would still be chocolate, would it? Wouldn't it?
Yeah, but that doesn't classify under a chocolate livery because it was supposed to be chocolate bars, so it'd still be outside of the... Anyway,
Yes, but you did have John Carter with Bounty, so...
Yeah, counts as a chocolate bar, like, unfortunately, for like people who like chocolate.
Yes, indeed.
But
So we are.
Yes, they start forming up here as they come down towards Blanchimont. And of course, the race start is after the hairpin at Spa. So it's a nice early form up. Hopefully, everybody can get in line nicely. Rachuti has a bit of a gap that he needs to close. McAdam needs to get a little bit closer as well. Always tricky to follow closely through the hairpin and the bus stop. So you need to get as close as possible to maintain those small gaps, unlike Rachuti is doing there. Lucas Key saying Bounty is the best and he loves us all. So
We're not all perfect.
well, especially Lucas. Anyway, so we do have a serial name on pole and Brad Cook with John McAdam, Stefano Ricciuti, Taufik, Jusman, Barker, Ignat, Thurglini, Grant Hill, rounding out that top 10. And Lindsay, do you want to take us away for the final race of Split Green this season?
Yep, sure, why not? So, as we head up towards Eau Rouge and Radion, we get ready to go racing in Split Green here for one last time. Name in front of Cook for the race start, with McAdam in a Bentley looking hot on the heels right behind that. So, we have an interesting pack here up the front to get us going as we see the green flag wave, and we are underway for racing here at Spa as we head through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time this race. Rashuti already trying to go around the outside of the Bentley of McAdam as we head up the hill now onto the Camel Straight. Here comes the Ferrari of Taufik as well, trying to get involved here for the battle for the podium early on as we start the hour and a half race, and we have quite the battle going on up and down the Camel Straight here for the podium places already. And further down the back we see Hignett going wheel to wheel with one of the Mustangs in the mid section towards the back end of the top 10 as we move further towards the leaders again, staying in this beautiful helicopter cam as we head now down the hill in the middle sector towards No Name for the first time, and then the tricky challenge of Puon to follow. And it looks like Taufik slots in behind Rashuti, who wasn't, actually he was able to get past McAdam, who has now dropped to 5th place, so not a great start from the Bentley, who's now going to be under pressure from Barker, but a relatively clean start all things considered, with the car number 23 being the only one slacking behind the field there at No Name.
Yeah, down at a speaker's corner, number 23 has gone around. Number 23 of John Rad has unfortunately been involved in quite a few incidents this season, and unfortunately, this last round is no different. That was a very, very good start from Rashuti, managing to just hold around the outside of the ever racy Bentley of McAdam, and ultimately that allowed Taufik to get in the draft of the Lamborghini and fly on through. Now, Rashuti's putting Cook under a little bit of pressure. Nimes broke away a little bit. He's about 7/10 clear of the Mustang as we head down through Blanchimont. Very, very fast left-hander. All these drivers will be trying to keep it as flat to the floor as possible. Rashuti has to hold there for the moment. He just doesn't have the straight line speed of that Mustang, but generally it's been pretty good, although the 11 did go around through Stavelo corner, which is unfortunate. Nime leads the way at the end of the first lap.
I'm with a great start there. Built not a big gap, but sort of a comfortable enough gap outside of that slipstream range for now. Rajuti, however, is very much in the slipstream range, as we see 3 or 4 yellow flags there. One before the bus stop, one in the bus stop, and that's going to be a couple of replays that we're going to see there. But Rajuti is very close to the back of Cook. Wondering if Cook is maybe carrying a little bit more fuel than those around him, and Taufik is looking very, very racy as well. Adam, not the start he would have wanted, but maybe he's just taking, again, maybe carrying a little bit more fuel, or maybe just taking a couple of laps to bring those tires in before he really starts pushing. But Rajuti has taken no such breaks, and he is pushing right off the start here, and very, very close to the back of Brad Cook for P2.
Yeah, as we just get a bit of a replay here, the car number 43 McLaren as we head through Longchamon towards the bus stop, just a bit wide there. And this is at the back of the field as the Aston Martin goes down the inside of the bus stop. The McLaren gets it all done wrong, under braking, hits the back of the Porsche, and the Ferrari goes round from it as well.
Yeah, that's a bit of a clumsy incident there from the McLaren's the back of the Porsche there. So I reckon there'll be a few penalties going out at the end of the first lap. Few incidents, but generally it wasn't too bad. It all happened later on in the lap. I was surprised that they all got through O-Route and Radion cleanly, given how tight it can be through there, especially when you're starting a race going up that very, very tricky and iconic complex, as we now look down at Benjamin Hignett, who is still there in P8 at the moment, just chasing after Jusman, who has dropped down a position compared to Barker, who's putting a lot of pressure on the Bentley, but runs very, very wide, so I don't think he'll be allowed to go for the move into the bus stop, but no, he does back out of it. That's smart as I thought. He went for that, there would be a penalty. Meanwhile, further back, that is Smith going for a move there on Damian, but can't make it work, as Brad Cook is now starting to build a little bit of pace. He's just set the fastest lap for 2:18 flat. We'll be looking for lap times, or fastest lap times, getting close to that 2:17 mark.
Yeah, 2:18 flat is quite a pacey lap so early in the race with so much fuel, and especially with the temperatures at 27-34. It's not exactly the fastest track conditions, but he's done that fastest lap, and Ricciuti is right there with him. His lap time was only about a tenth down. Let's see. Lamborghini actually has some proper straight line speed. Will he be able to send it up the inside very late on the brakes? Oh, there's a little bit of contact there, and Cook has to take the escape road there, and that's going to allow Taufik to get through as well. And I think we might have the stewards having a little look at that, and a very tricky one, but I'll leave that to the stewards to decide, and Taufik will be very happy with that, moving up into P3, Ricciuti up into P2. Get a replay here of Adam. We didn't see what exactly happened here. Hopefully Barker managed to hit his braking. We see up the field there. No, Barker managed to hit McAdam, not the braking one.
Well, we can at least agree that that will definitely be a penalty, but the incident between Ricciuti and Cook there might be a touch more contentious, I feel. But we'll carry on. We'll let the stewards deliberate and probably cry as they decide over that one, as we look back at Damiano Turcolini, who's moved up his position due to McAdam's misfortunes there. And he is chasing after Hill for P8 in this race in the beautiful Relax More Racing tree. Does need to keep one eye behind him though, because he's got a very, very fast Mustang in Dylan Smith closing in, and we know how much of a difference that a Mustang can make in a straight line, especially compared to a car like the Porsche. And the Porsche actually runs a bit wide through Blanchimont, perhaps just trying to gain as much speed as possible, and it seemed to work so far. Smith couldn't do anything about it going into the bus stop.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the Mustang just trying to close in for the moment, but we all know that when we get to the straight, it could be a bit of a different story as they head through La Source. And Rackmat 2:17.3, already flying through the field, is in P18. So the charge from last two, as far up the grid as he can go, has already begun. But now we look at Rackmat, who is chasing tail behind one of the McLarens. The leaderboard is not showing which one, so I am a bit blind, but here we go. Jusman on Barker as we head towards Legcom, and Jusman picks the outside, brakes late, gets in front at the apex, gets to the second apex first, takes the curve, runs out wide, forces Barker to go the long way round, but keeps the inside, and this now invites Hignett into the fray as well as they head down the hill into the tricky braking zone. And there's a little bit of wheel rubbing there, a bit of contact, Hignett losing out. This invites Hill as well into this scrap, and this now becomes a four-way fight between four different Ferraris. And as we head down the hill, this is where it gets tricky, and this is where you have to stay single file. And yeah, no moves will be made until potentially the chicane we're approaching now. A good run out of Puon. Hill gets, that's Hignett getting a good run on Jusman, and no moves being made because you have to be pretty much bang on alongside to get a move done there. But four Ferraris in a battle pack, that is some drivers' worst nightmare, because racing the same car as you can always be a bit tricky.
Well, they don't look like the same car at the moment between Hignett and Jasmine. Hignett's car looks super, super pointy. He's going sideways through pretty much every corner at the moment, whereas Guzman's car looks very, very settled, and he does look like he has the pace over Barker, but that was fairly well defended from Barker going into the Lecom chicane, but you would think that that defense will be in vain with a penalty most likely coming his way. Justin does need to be a little bit careful not to go for any rash movers. Here comes Wellerbird. He sticks the nose up the inside of Vintner, but he can't do anything into the bus stop chicane. It was probably not on that move, but thankfully there was no contact, no proper commitment made to it.
Yeah, this is a really tight little battle pack here, and then of course we have Tawfiq putting the pressure on Rachuti, and Naim starting to run away a little bit now, 1.6 seconds ahead, and Cook has dropped off ever so slightly as well. And then because of all the fighting in that mid-pack, or not mid-pack, that sort of top 5 battle, Barker is now 4.5 seconds behind these 4 at the front. Tawfiq putting the pressure on, it just didn't get quite the run he needed to get alongside Rachuti.
Hills around.
Come in. Oh, Hill has binned it. Is that a
Top of Radion.
Ferrari thing, I guess? Most likely.
Potentially, yeah. So he's unfortunately come a cropper at the top of Radion. We'll get a replay of it now. You can see Hill here in the purple mosaic entry going up Radion now. What's it gonna do at the top? Oh, he's lost it, and that's a... Ooh.
Did a Slade there. Hey Slady, you're in chat. Yeah, that would have been that's a fair amount of damage on that Ferrari there. Rahmat is up to P16 already after 10 minutes. So
setting disgusting lap times.
he's absolutely slicing through the field. I'm wondering if he maybe not. I mean, his pace is of course completely possible on heavy fuel as well, but if he just sort of fueled a little bit lighter for this first stint to try and have that little extra 1 km/h speed, so maybe slice through the field a bit more efficiently and then get into the box and then do a longer second stint. You see David Barker there with a 15-second penalty, as well as Ian Wong already has a 15-second penalty, and there was one other one that popped up as well that I forgot the name now.
Was Jeff Beaton.
Beaton, that's the name, sorry. So a couple of 15-second penalties coming through there. So far the field is sticking nice and close together. Further down the pack there's quite a few little gaps forming at the moment. But in this battle of the Ferraris, where Graham Hill has left the battle for the time being, everybody else is very, very close to each other. As Vintner goes up the inside of Smith at La Source, it's going to be a drag race down to Eau Rouge. Side by side through Eau Rouge. It surely never ends poorly. Let's see if one of them will back out. It doesn't appear as though either will be, as they go side by side, and Smith cuts ahead of the nose. Vintner misses the corner, and that's going to allow Jacob Weatherburn to move up into P10 for now. So good start from him. He's up 4 positions since the start of the race as well.
Damiano up the inside. Oh dear, of Benjamin Hignett. A little bit of contact, but I think that will be fair, as Hignett is trying to get back underneath the Porsche to get up the inside of Brussel's corner here at turn 10. We won't be able to do it, so Damiano Turcolini is up into P7.
Good move there from the Porsche. The Porsche is always very tricky to get wrangled around this circuit. It is always super snappy like always, but at a circuit like Spa with the type of corners, especially in the middle sector, it can bite, especially here at Pouon. It is always scariest. You turn in and you don't know whether you're going to do a 360 into that outside wall or if you're going to get through the corner, but right now Turcolini looking comfortable as ever out there.
Here we go, 10-second penalty for Rachuti because of that contact that we saw into the chicane with Cook, so that's very unfortunate for Rachuti. Going to drop him down into that sort of battle pack between Hignett and there. But it's good news for Tawfiq. He'll be wanting to get through as quickly as possible and try... Oh, that's the linesman. Okay, the rejoin, and Weatherburn has gained 2 positions on this lap as everybody just keeps driving off track ahead of him.
for a moment there, I thought Vintner was going to try and go side by side with Smith going through Blanchimont, which we did see a little bit of that in the previous split yellow race. But on this occasion, I mean, we do have an hour and 16 minutes to go, so I think that was probably the right call, but still got very, very close to the rear end of the no longer Kit Caterpillar Mustang.
Yeah, the Kit Caterpillar will be missed, I'm sure, as we now head towards Eau Rouge and Radion with Jasmine following behind Barker, and it's going to be Ferrari versus Ferrari as these two scrap away. Oh, never mind!
That is huge.
That's a
an
massive
ignorant-
crash at the top of Radion, and that could have been disastrous. Two cars off at the top, and I think so, as we see Jasmine go to the pit lane. Obviously, after such a big crash like that, you're never going to get around the lappers. Oh, just in the background there, Pascal Armstrong getting all out of touch there and nearly having a massive moment, as that then invites Purcell right into the fray as they head towards Bruxelles. But we're going to stay focused on Dylan Smith here as they head down the hill towards No Name. Wittner still looking punchy behind Dylan Smith and trying to find a move. The BMW often tends to struggle a little bit in the slower speed corners, but so does the Mustang as well, so not quite even playing field, but definitely still a battle worth taking, as Wittner ever showing that the BMW can still fight as we head towards campus. And no moves just yet. Wittner getting very close underneath the wing of the Mustang though, as I think, oh wow, big snap there from Dylan Smith. The Mustang biting Wittner, putting his nose in on the inside of Stavilo and getting the move done. And that was a brilliant move from Wittner, just taking advantage of a mistake from Dylan Smith. This now invites Pascal Armstrong into it as well, as we head through Curb Paul Frere and towards Blanchimont. And this could be a move to make at the bus stop, but Dylan Smith seemingly pulling a bit more down the straight, and actually has a run back at Wittner as we head towards the bus stop. The Mustang isn't going to go for the move, but Wittner has to play a bit defensive there on the inside, just braking more at the middle of the track. And now Pascal Armstrong, after Dylan Smith runs wide, tries to get a cut back underneath as we now head towards La Source. It's going to be Mustang v Mustang power here as we head towards the hairpin. Will he go down the inside? He does think about it, but doesn't commit to the move.
Probably the smart choice there from Pascal Armstrong. I'm not sure whether Smith actually went wide. I had a feeling he may have thought, oh, I might have a little opportunity here to get Wittner back here into the second part of the bus stop chicane, just compromise his line. He's probably lucky that Pascal Armstrong just got a little bit held up behind. Pascal Armstrong does cut chicane, as does Purcell. Track limits will play a huge factor here. Drive-throughs will be aplenty as the number 6 of Foxtrot has gone around through Blanchimont. Will we see a move from Pascal Armstrong? No, he's just not quite close enough. Looks like in the background that was Rakhmat shaping up a move on King. Rakhmat's already in P13, by the way, and further up the road, Taufik's gotten through on Rashidi too, so that penalty will not play any havocs on Taufik. There is Rakhmat having a little look at King. He's slicing his way through the field right now in that 62 Ferrari.
See now with Taufik getting through, whether he can start sort of closing the gap back down on Naim. It grew very quickly while I'm assuming they were battling. Of course, we were watching this enthralling battle here between all of the Mustangs. But yeah, it's interesting to see how many we had. That big cluster of Ferraris, and they have all just crashed pretty much. And we see Graham Hill in chat as well saying he's over the Ferrari. Assuming he's not taking it next season, so interesting to see what car he chooses, thinking it's a McLaren. But yeah, we've seen quite a few Ferraris come off the track, especially through Eau Rouge, Radion, where the car just seems to bottom out ever so slightly. Looks as though Duty is still piling the pressure onto Taufik. Taufik not yet able to build a gap here, and Brad Cook still very present in that battle. And speaking of being present in a battle, Tim Purcell here, and at the back there, that is Rakhmat on the outside of King, and he's up the inside into the Buster. Oh, he's up the inside of Purcell very nearly there. And will King back out of it? Not quite, but Rahmat hangs it around the outside. Very, very barely stays within the track limits to complete that move and move up into P12. And he will now be chasing down Purcell and Oscar Armstrong ahead of him to break into that top 10. We have not yet completed 20 minutes of this race, and Rahmat is already challenging the top 10. As we see Rachuti, as I said just not too long ago, he's still very much on Taufik, so I'm wondering if he maybe just made a small mistake which allowed Taufik to get through. Not that Taufik had a significant pace advantage. As you can see, the gap is now 4 seconds to Naeem near the front, so he is really dropping the hammer on these guys, seeing their battling and just putting clean laps in, building a gap. And Cook has decided he wants to be very much on the podium, so he will be challenging Rachuti as soon as he can. And David Barker sitting in a little bit of no man's land now in P5. He does have that 15-second penalty, which will drop him down quite a bit. And Damiano Thurcolini, none other than Damiano here, sitting in P6 at the moment, driving beautifully.
Yeah, doing very well at the moment is Damiano there in P6, leading the way in the silver class. Been a lot of high caliber drivers who have dropped down the order due to accidents. As we mentioned, the Ferrari group that we had before, the quartet, reduced to just David Barker once more, with Damiano Turcolini, Jacob Wellerburn, Ben Vintner kind of filling the remaining slots left from those 3 departing Ferraris, as Vintner now has a massive run on Jacob Wellerburn. Can he get enough of a slipstream to potentially go for a move into the bus stop chicane, or will that Mustang just have enough grunt? We'll have a look through Blanchimont. The Mustang gets it through nice. I think the BMW is going to go a little bit wide, just keeps within the bounce of the track on that curb. And will Vintner try and go around the outside? Not going to be able to do it there. Wellerburn moves over very, very late, and that means that when Vintner runs quite wide, is now back under pressure from Dylan Smith behind.
Yeah, a bit of a sort of half-hearted defense from Weatherburn there, not quite committing to the defense. And then Vintner at the last moment having to try and send it around the outside. Purcell very close to Pascal Armstrong, with Rahmat right behind them, and then another cluster of cars right behind them. McAdam on the road to recovery after his unfortunate incident with Barker early on in the race. Rahmat, can he get a nice good run here on the exit of Radion? That's a lot of a... Whoa! That was a huge moment for Rahmat. How did he save that?
The Ferraris building a graveyard at the top of Radion, but Rahmat's just said, no, not yet. And somehow he is still pointing a straight line and still gunning for that last to first.
Yeah, no, Def came a knocking and he turned it away like a Jehovah's Witness there. So he saved it, and he's still very much in this battle. Pascal Armstrong under all sorts of pressure, and see Lucas Keys pointing out that he is driving on a controller, so that makes it even just an extra little bit more impressive how consistent he is. You see John Foster there get a 15-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 7. I'm wondering if that had something to do with the Foxtrot car that we saw stationary towards Blanchimont a couple of laps ago. Towards the front of the field now, it looks like Taufik has slightly broken away from Rachuti. 8-10, it's not a huge gap, but at least a little bit of breathing room. And then this little battle back here seems to be the closest battle outside of that. Oh, there we go.
Benjamin Hignett with a 10-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 7. I'm not too sure what that could have been. Perhaps a little bit of afters after he spun following Jusman's Beyblade accidents at the top of Radion. So now watch Tim Purcell still behind the controller using Alex Pascal Armstrong. You would suspect that Fali Rahmat's going to have a go up the inside of the bus stop chicane, and he does. And is he going to stop in time? No, he does not. He's around, and that's going to be a penalty coming Fadli Rahmat's way, and he's going to also lose the position not only to Purcell but to King as well, and that looked inevitable from the moment that Rahmat stood on the brakes.
Yeah, Rahmat just a bit of a misjudgment while trying to make a move, got a bit desperate and then just couldn't pull the car up in time, and it turned into a bigger crash than I even expected. I thought maybe he might have just gotten away with it with the car in front reacting in time, but not quite. And now Rakhmat will be facing a huge penalty. But now we head onto the Camel Straight with Rakhmat under pressure, and now we see a replay as we head towards the bus stop chicane, and Rakhmat was hunting a move on Purcell and then pulls to the right hand side, brakes too late, and you could just see it, too much momentum as they head towards the apex, and just barreled into that Mustang and then just goes wide and loses all the places, and that was just poor judgment.
That's unfortunate for Rakhmat there. I mean, he would have made the corner if there wasn't the Mustang already there. So, yeah, as you said, a misjudgment, but I don't think anything malicious in that. Just a slight misjudgment of the brakes, given the overspeed he was carrying with that double slipstream. But anyway, he will receive his penalty and he will continue pushing. He is currently in P11, and there's quite a few penalties ahead of him as well. So, you know, not all is lost just because he will be receiving that penalty. But speaking of penalties, we got some confirmation from Diables in chat that Hignett got his penalty for contact with a blue flag car in no name. So we didn't get to see that, but that is always unfortunate when that happens. And Vintner here, he is still piling the pressure on to Weatherburn. What this is allowing is for Thurkelini to sort of settle down a little bit. And in fact, that the gap from Thurkelini to Barker has come down by another 3 or 4 tenths as well. Weatherburn, that's a game crash, I think.
Yeah, I saw the blinking. I think Weatherburn is...
Oh, he's going across the track. Oh, thank God, he came completely off.
Yeah, and then just into the massive...
Yeah, that's a game crash. Or at least a very severe hardware failure, but that blinking...
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Looks like a game crash, yeah. It's very unfortunate for Yoda. He's not had the best luck this season, and that'll just put a nice little bad luck cherry on top of it.
Unfortunately there for Jacob Wilburns, we continue watching Fudley Rakhmat going to try and make a move on Tim Purcell once again. Purcell this time without the advantage of a slipstream off of a Mustang, but can Fudley keep it together going up? Ready on once again, getting very loose, and that just might compromise his run a little bit, but he'll still have a good slipstream as they run towards Lakecom, and I just don't think he's going to quite have the legs to get it done there, so he's going to have to wait a little bit longer. Purcell doing very well to hold off someone as fast as Fadley Rakhmat.
Yeah, and Rakhmat was able to carve through the entire field until this point so easily, but now as we look, Rakhmat catches the top 10 and now is struggling to get past Purcell, who is putting on a stellar defense, which will only hurt Rakhmat as he goes further into this race, with a penalty surely coming his way as we get to the time of the pit stops. The time he loses out is just going to increase because he has a massive pack right behind him and he's going to have to re-overtake them all. But also, the Ferrari, we've already touched on it a bit, but it is just trying to take lives at the top of Eau Rouge and Radion. I won't be surprised if we see every single Ferrari up and down this field in that war.
I wouldn't say it's trying, I'd say it's bloody successful so far, given...
So far, yeah.
It's a pretty high success rate at the moment.
Yeah, it's like a 75% success rate.
I think if it wasn't for Fudley's insane reflexes, he would have been one of them a long time ago as well. He had some massive moments through there. But McAdam is he's very close to the back of King here, and that gap from Naim to Tafiq has started coming down a little bit. So 3.6 now, it's come down from over 4 seconds. So maybe Tafiq just sort of, there we go, 15-second penalty for Rakhmat. That is very unfortunate for him, but you know, it's the risks you run when you start from the back is you have to battle through a lot of drivers, and incidents do tend to happen. Adam got a good exit out of the final corner of the bus stop. They will be able to go up the inside of Dylan King here into turn 1. He's certainly trying it. He's certainly trying it. He hits the apex beautifully. It's going to be a drag race down towards Eau Rouge Radion. Bentley versus Aston Martin. It's Britain versus Britain in Belgium. A little bit of a touch there, not quite necessary, but I think he has cleared him and he will be able to take the normal line. Having done a couple of practice laps, the Bentley can be quite a bit spicy at the top part of Radion there, and we see him there little flash of the hazards, just apologizing for the tiny little tap that they had, and everybody keeps going on their way. McAdams' recovery has continued, and Rahmat's recovery is also continuing as he gets past Purcell there.
Yeah, just in time for the penalty to be applied to Fudley Rahmat for that contact with the passenger arms going down at the bus stop chicane a few laps ago. But that was very well executed from McAdam, as you said, hitting the apex of La Source beautifully and getting a perfect run out the corner. Yeah, just that little bit of contact there between McAdam and King. I wonder if King just maybe squeezing McAdam a little bit too close to the wall, but still they managed to get through okay, and McAdam making a well-executed move work in the end.
Replay here of the Aston on Aston violence. This is John Carter and Dylan King. King with a bit of a compromised run as they come down towards Bruxelles.
Oh no.
Carter just leaves the nose ever so slightly there. Very light tap. And is that the move done? I think he got the move done there, but didn't see anybody spin around or anything, and they are still... Oh wait, John Carter... Yeah, John Carter is ahead of him, so that was I wouldn't say a clean move necessarily, given the very slight contact, but he got the move done. But interesting to see there, Brad Cook, he's dropped 2.4 seconds off the back of these two guys. So wondering if it's just the 30 kilos of ballast that the Mustang has here, whether it's just affecting the tire wear ever so slightly.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the Mustang generally is worse on its tires than the cars it's racing, particularly Lamborghini. The Ferrari, I'd say, would be a little bit harder on its tires at the moment with how loose it's been going over radio and how hard the Ferrari drivers have had to really control the beast that they are trying to tame. But so far, Taufik's done a pretty good job of it. That gap between himself and Naim has just stretched out again a little bit. So Naim's doing very, very well out front to hold that lead and is controlling this race beautifully. Rashidi is not letting Taufik go despite Rashidi's 10-second penalty.
Yeah, he knows he needs to keep as close as possible, ideally be ahead of Taufik and try and run away from him to mitigate that penalty. As we see, Foxtrot, I think, has the return to pit lane there as he was a yellow flag on the Camel. But yeah, Rachuti is trying his best, and as we saw, they're pulling away from Barker ever so slightly. Get a replay here of Foxtrot in that very colourful Ferrari. Is this another victim claimed? Certainly appears like it will be one. Oh, it's
Additional graveyard.
Yep. Yeah.
Get the tombstone out.
It's a bit later on than the other ones, so the Ferrari just bounces around forever, it seems like.
You could see he missed the sort of the turn in for the right-hander ever so slightly, so he was going a little bit wide, and then it looks as though that bump is just insta-death if you're in anything with a prancing horse on the front.
Jesus. We look at the prancing horse still of Taufik and the raging bull behind of Stefano Rasciuti. Rasciuti just holding as close as he possibly can to reduce the effect of the penalty. I mean, at the moment, it would only drop him back behind Cook, especially with Barker's own 15-second penalty. Just on Barker, he's got company in the form of a wee little Porsche known as Damiano Cercolini. Damiano is very much here.
And Damiano had a very good race on Monday in the Club 50 race, so he's continuing that form across into the final round of the Sprint Series here, and he is putting the pressure on David Barker now. All due respect to Cercolini, and we've not really seen him battle David Barker on pace before, but I'm absolutely here for it. He is absolutely got that Porsche down pat. He gets a great run through Radion. Is he going to be able to pull alongside? He certainly is, but it's not quite enough, I don't think. Will he be braver on the brakes? Barker is a difficult driver to outbrake. He's certainly going to try it, and he's hanging it around the outside. That's going to give him the inside on the left-hander, but that will give Barker the inside on the right-hander, and that's well defended by Barker for the time being. Although Cercolini is still very, very much there. Going around the outside of Bruxelles is possible, but very, very unlikely, and he's going to give it a good old college try. I think he's just going to run out of road ever so slightly, and that little battle that they had there has immediately allowed Benjamin Vintenen to catch up and join the fight. So not quite the outcome Turcolini would have wanted from that, but worked out well for Vintenen in that occasion.
Indeed, gaining 2 seconds through just a couple of corners because those two were fighting did Ben Vintner. So Vintner would be very, very chuffed. And now Damiano is going to have one eye looking forward, one eye looking back. Perhaps he needs to crack out the third eye to continue driving in this race and focus on the road where possible. But good defense from Barker. Good effort too from Damiano Turcolini. He's kept those tyres in very, very good nick. And seems to have a lot of pace at this stage and could be a genuine threat for a top 5 finish in this race.
Yeah, he's certainly there on pace. I mean, he's been helped with a couple of Ferraris that have decided to commit seppuku through Eau Rouge, but otherwise he's just kept it clean and done some very consistent lap times, and he's certainly not there on luck or anything like that. Earned it so far. And we're about, as we see Vinton, I was just about to mention strategy and pit stops, and that's a great little reminder there from Vinton. This is a 90-minute race without a mandatory pit stop, but basically none of the cars, or realistically none of the cars, can do no stopper in terms of fuel usage. You could potentially do it on tires. So a couple of drivers in the first race take no tires and just do a splash and dash for fuel. But we are sort of entering the phase of the race where people who maybe wanted to start on a bit less fuel might be coming into box as we approach the halfway mark of this race. But Turcolini has got another good run through Radion, and he is weaving all over the back of Barker, making that Porsche as wide as possible. And Barker just kept his line straight there and kept on chitting because Turcolini's run was not good enough to get alongside.
Yeah, the Porsche's not able to get it done in a straight line, even with a little bit of a slipstream as we now move back to McAdam. But yeah, just to touch on the strategy, I mean, obviously, we had 90 minutes at Silverstone, and that created quite an interesting strategy element there as well. And we're going to see something similar here at Spa, but with how hilly Spa is and how long of a lap Spa is, you're using normally a bit more fuel around this track than Silverstone, so I think a few more cars will struggle to make. I don't think there's any car, as you said, that can realistically make it, whereas I think the Mustang, was it, in Silverstone could make it. Was it the Mercedes?
On fuel, I think the Mercedes could.
Yeah.
I think the Porsche could get fairly close here, but I know Ashton Reynolds has mentioned in the sort of sprint chat room that he has attempted it, and he is about 16 liters short. So that is about 4 laps worth of fuel, which is enormous
Significant.
amount of saving. So yeah, if the Porsche in Turcolini is
Turcolini's through. Massive.
Yeah, we missed it. Oh no.
and where's Vintenen boxed, and look who's right behind him now. Fadli Rahmat has decided to join this little group here. Okay, no.
Thought about going for it, but didn't commit to it. But that little dummy allows Rahmat there as well. There we go. Running wide goes the Ferrari, and then through goes Turcolini, and then obviously into Blanchimont and towards the bus stop. They wanted to get it back done in that Ferrari, but not quite enough straight line speed after a mistake like that, and Turcolini was just able to hold the position. But just in that braking zone, if you look back there, look at how much Rahmat was able to gain. That is an immense amount of time to be gaining from just a singular braking zone.
Oh, and he runs very wide there as he's still trying to gain as much time as possible on the back of the track limits.
Yeah.
Oof, already.
Ripperoonie.
Okay, well that is one way to get a pit visit fairly early on in the race, but not quite the one you would be looking for.
It's
going to drop him.
a big drive through around Spa because you're going through basically 2 pit lanes.
Yeah, it's about, I think it's a 90-second loss or something like that, isn't it? It's something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a lap and a half, or just a bit under here around Spa. As Rahmat going left and right. Which way is he going to try find a move? almost thought he was going to go down the inside of Puon there. That would have probably not ended well, but as we head towards campus, Rakhmat, clearly the faster of the two Ferraris at the moment, both of them with penalties, but of very different variety. But as we head into campus, we will see Rakhmat just carrying a little bit more speed, but Barker holding on, obviously, because this is just not the part of the track where you want to make a move unless the car in front of you makes a mistake, much like Barker did last lap here. As we see, Turcolini, I think, went off just marginally in front there, but not enough to make a difference like when Barker did. And Rakhmat chasing here as we head towards Blanchimont, and very close. We know Rakhmat likes to brake late here, so as he goes to the inside, no, not quite ready to commit to it, doesn't want to make a similar mistake.
That's why.
Penalty, and there we go. Barker pulls into the pit lane for the drive-through as we now cut back to McAdam versus Purcell, fighting away at the bus stop, and the Bentley goes for a cutback, gets a better exit as we head towards the source. The Bentley is trying to figure out if it's close enough, and it does definitely look like it's close enough. McAdam pulls to the inside, brakes late, pulls alongside Purcell, getting that move done. Purcell cutting back underneath, getting a good run on the Bentley though, but it's going to be who has more power, and at the end of the day, the Bentley can stretch its legs just a little bit more, but Purcell won't want to give this one up yet as we head towards Eau Rouge and Radion. These two will continue to fight away as we head over the top. This is where the Ferraris have had the issues, but Purcell getting through the section nicely as we now are on the Camel Straight, and Purcell gaining in the slipstream, and as we head towards the braking zone, it's not quite going to be close enough to go for a move.
Yeah, once again, a nice dive to the inside from McAdam through La Source, getting things done cleanly and recovering nicely after that moment with David Barker. Earlier on in the race where Barker forgot where his braking marker was and decided to use McAdam as a brake instead. But no, it's good recovery so far from the Bentley, and that was smart from Rakhmat earlier, not going for the move on Barker, as he knew that the Ferrari number 13 was going to be diving into the pit lane to serve that drive through for track limits. And I have a feeling we'll be seeing a few more of those drive-through penalties appear for rally drivers throughout the race.
Yeah, there's quite a few occasions. Yeah, and it was interesting during that battle with Fercolini and Barker. There were a couple of occasions where Fercolini was very, very close to those track limits and maybe picking up a warning here and there. And it's one of those tracks where if you're pushing hard on a lap, it's very easy to pick up one or two warnings within a very short period of time. So hopefully he hasn't picked up too many warnings and he can continue on his merry way. But Rakhmat is very, very close behind him now, as we see Ian Wong here on the back of Carter. So Ian Wong trying to catch up to Purcell and get onto the silver podium. Carter, of course, your Pro-Am leader at the moment, with Dylan King about a little bit over 2.5 seconds behind him on track. Pascal Armstrong just behind that as well. So yeah, at the front, Taufik Ruchuti has not let him go at all. He has been an absolute nuisance this whole race, and Taufik cannot afford to make even a tiny mistake. Behind them, Cook continues to lose ground. I mean, he has the championship sort of sewed up, but this will be a frustrating race for him, just not having that pace to stick with the front guys as he has been doing this whole season. Duty still pushing up the rear of Taufik here. Taufik keeping it nice and clean, but because of having to be ever so slightly defensive, the gap to time just keeps on opening up, and it's 4.6 seconds now, which is pretty much sort of safe for even a bad pit stop. If you miss your pit box a little bit or something like that, you probably lose about 3 to 4 seconds. So Naeem can afford to sort of hopefully not mess up his pit stop, but it won't be the end of the world should that happen. And given the pace he's running at, we are about a lap away from the halfway mark. Wondering whether they will be boxing sometime soon, as Rakhmat still has been able to get past Fercolini. So Fercolini putting up yet another masterclass of defense here at the moment, and keeping it nice and clean. Rakhmat all over the back of him, but not able to really get alongside to try and pull a move thus far. Fercolini with a bit of a weird line there through Fangye, but still gets a good enough exit, and this is where we've seen drivers make a couple of mistakes here and there. Should he be able to keep it on track? Now Rahmat coming down through on the way to Blanchimon, and then down to the bus stop where we of course saw his unfortunate incident a little bit earlier. Hopefully this time around he can get a nice clean run through Blanchimon and pull alongside and brake. He's almost too close. He might need to sort of lift a little bit to avoid contact with the back of Ferglini there. Ferglini going semi-defensive there, sort of mid-track. But Rahmat has enough space to slot into. Oh no! And Ferglini has hit the back of Rahmat there. That is very, very unfortunate there. Oh my goodness, that is not what we wanted to see from Damiano there. And Ricciuti has decided to box as well.
Yes, that was an unfortunate moment there between Rahmat and Turcolini. Just a little bit of a tap sends the Ferrari spinning, and on top of an already having a penalty that is hanging over Rahmat's head, now another little spin probably caused a few seconds of damage as well. So it's just going bad to worse. But out the front, Naeem is looking very, very fast in that McLaren and is just clear of Taufik by 4.5 seconds. Really impressive.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Ricciuti should come out in P4, I guess, once everybody has completed their pit stops at the moment. So we see a little bit of a look there at Taufik's pace. 2:18.6 on the last lap, fastest lap of a 2:17.9. Of course, Rahmat with that 2:17.2, I think, earlier on in the race, which is pretty ridiculous race pace. Sorry, a free. My mistake. That's much lower. But yeah, anything in the 2:17s is already a very mighty race pace. Anything in the low 17s is really pushing towards the pointy end of the pace brackets that we expect to see here in OR. And with that little oopsie that they had on the previous lap, now they have Dylan Smith, who is closing up towards the rear of them. Just behind that, John McAdam in that ever-lurking Bentley on his recovery drive. He's up to P7 now, and he's 2.6 seconds behind Smith. So still a good result on the cards here for McAdam as we have just crossed the halfway line.
Yeah, so halfway done, half to go, and still pit stops to be made, so plenty of more action to see as we see Damiano Turcolini getting a 10-second time penalty for that incident we saw at the bus stop between Rahmat and himself. So now we have round 2 of it as Rahmat all over the back of Turcolini again. The Ferrari bites at Blanchimon, flies off into the wall, and that is a huge moment, and Rahmat's race going bad to worse, and he can't seem to escape the bad luck tonight.
So the Ferrari has always been recommended as a sort of a safe option for the rookies to learn. What is the Ferrari doing at Spa? I don't get why it's so deadly.
I would hazard a guess to say it's sitting way too low to the ground. But then if it was sitting too low to the ground, then wouldn't you see the McLaren have issues as well? So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not gonna question Kuno's physics too much, as we see Taufik and Naeem both into pit lane. There was about a 4.5 second gap before they boxed. Brad Cook now your leader on track for the first time today. It's not usual to see him sort of languishing in P4, where he's usually up towards the pointy end in the top 2. But yeah, that was I mean, we saw Rahmat perform a few pretty impressive saves a little bit earlier on, but that time around he just did not quite have the ninja reflexes to save a very quickly letting go Ferrari there. And unfortunate for him, quite a big accident, and I'm assuming he's going to be stationary for a good old while, repairing all of that damage.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure that it was reacting in time. I think it was almost reacting too quickly and overcorrecting, because it was heading left and then just snapped right so violently while trying to save the car, and it was it was just a very aggressive incident.
Yeah, and that's just a reminder. I mean, Fadli Rahmat is a very good driver, SRO Pro driver, so he's absolutely no slouch. And if these type of incidents can happen to somebody of his caliber, it just goes to show that there's no shame in all of the other drivers who have fallen off track so far today. So yeah, his car is still stationary. It's not even straight in pit lane. That's how broken it is. But Naim is back on track, 6.5 seconds ahead of Taufik. So not sure if Taufik had some damage that he repaired maybe, or just a poor pit stop. But yeah, that gap for the lead has just extended.
Yeah, and that's just taking even more pressure off of Naeem, and brings Taufik a bit closer to Rashuti, but not really that close. So yeah, just a bit of a drop off there from Taufik, and we'll have to try and make back the time later. But now we look at McAdam, who is still going on a recovery drive here in the Bentley, and after all the pit stops are said and done, we'll see where McAdam ends up. But yeah, they've been driving very, very well tonight, making moves back into the position they were, and their favourite spot right now is La Source, and we'll have to see if that trend continues, as they're currently chasing down the Mustang of Dylan Smith.
Yeah, I think once the penalties have been applied and everybody has performed their pit stops, there should be a net P5 there, I think. So yeah, great recovery drive, and unfortunately I think the gap from that sort of P4, P5 was maybe a little bit too big to close it, but he is a very fast operator, so let's see whether he can do anything about that. But first he has to catch Dylan Smith and then try and overtake a Mustang, which is no mean feat around Spa. A couple of drivers, Purcell there into pits at the moment. Has Rahmat left pit lane yet?
Rakhmat did appear in the chat.
Oh, there is P16. Yeah, P16. Well, I mean, to be fair, he had about 9 minutes in pit, so...
Oh, yeah, fair. Yeah, it did look like a bit of a significant accident, and yeah, not very good for Rakhmat's hopes of a last to first.
And awful for the resale value of that Ferrari, but we see Dylan Smith there go very, very wide as he's tried to rejoin now, and they are going side by side, coming up towards Blanchimon. I think he's left it out of it. He knew that it wasn't worth going side by side through there. Excuse me. McAdam gains yet another position, and he might be looking at pitting soon. 40 minutes remaining in the race, so it's a little bit past halfway. No, he is not pitting, but Thurkelini and Brad Cook are, so we will see where they come out now that the penalties are served. And yeah, with Taufik, he's now 7 seconds behind Naeem, so Naeem just really in a class of his own today, really putting the hammer down and just stamping his authority on the rest of the field here. McLaren is a very good car around here, but it's not the easiest to sort of navigate, especially for such a long race, and so far he has done an absolutely brilliant job of that.
Yeah, it's really impressive driving, and to drive at that level for already just over 45 minutes with another 45 to go, yeah, it is really impressive to just keep that consistent, quick pace, and I wonder what the gap will be by the end of the race.
Which I'll have to keep a very, very close eye on. That we'll see where the likes of Cook and Damiano come out hits, but yeah, no, Naim doing fantastic. 7.2 seconds between himself and Taufik at the moment, as Damiano will pull into the box, and he'll have an additional 10-second penalty to serve for his little excursions earlier with Fadli Rakhmat.
Such a stupid pit lane at this stupid track, but anyway. McAdam now already a second clear of Smith there, and then we have the linking a little bit further down the field. Rachuti 7 seconds behind Taufik, so 40 minutes remaining, well 38 minutes remaining. Be interesting to see if he can sort of start digging into that gap a little bit and try and catch up to the back of Taufik, as we see Cook exit pit lane here, not too far behind Taufik. He's actually appears to have closed the gap ever so slightly. That's Taufik just ahead of him on track there. That looks to be about 1, 2, 3 and a bit seconds, I guess. We'll see. Yeah, 3.4 seconds. Quick math. And Rachuti gets past Thurkelini after Thurkelini serving that penalty as well. So Thurkelini has dropped down a fair chunk because of that penalty.
And Peach, I just gotta say, you seem to hold a lot of hate towards this track. Is there a story there, or do you just prefer another Belgian track?
I just dislike Spa. I've never, even when I was playing GT Sport, I didn't like it. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with it. I know it has Eau Rouge and Radeon, which is supposed to be these amazing corners, but as we've seen, if you're in a Ferrari, then they're certainly less than amazing. And the rest of the track is pretty much just a normal racetrack. There's no really special corners. There's two of my least favorite corners in No Name and Pujon. And like I'm not. It's not my best track, so you could say a bit of a skill issue as well. But I don't like it. I don't enjoy driving here. I don't see what the appeal is. I would much rather do 90 minutes of Zolder than do 90 minutes of Spa.
Yeah, so just a general hate. I mean, I feel like I'm not the greatest fan of Spa either, really, but I do like it in open wheel cars. But yeah, in GT3s it is certainly not my favorite. But regardless, we have 35 minutes to go here of 90 minutes, and sadly we can't just teleport to Zolder.
Yeah, it's probably not that far from here. I mean, Belgium is freaking tiny. It's like a suburb in Australia, basically, so we should be able to get there. But yeah, I mean, it does, as you said, in open wheel cars, it does make for some good racing sometimes in Formula One. Not always. Sometimes it does turn into a bit of a snore fest. But yeah, it's not a terrible track in those cars. I've never been able to identify that appeal. But I'm thinking that Naim has found quite a bit of appeal here, as he is doing very well today, and we are on board here with John Rad. He was the first driver to have an incident in this race, and we saw him as a yellow flag right at the back of the field on lap 1. Currently sitting in P19. I'm not sure whether he has completed a pit stop. He's taken a bit of a scenic route through Pujon there. Unfortunately, one of those places where you won't necessarily get a warning. Oh, he has pitted already. So good recovery from J-Rad as well, given how far back he was on lap 1. So yeah, getting confirmation there from our wonderful broadcaster Brent Sykes that only the top 3 on track at the moment have yet to pit, as we see car 65, that is Symes in the beautiful Springbok livery. Aston Martin has come off at the chicane. I'm not sure if it was assisted or self-inflicted, as we do get a replay here. Given the amount of cars on track with him, I'm going to say self-inflicted this time.
Let's have a look then. Through. Oh.
Ooh.
Yep, that was.
Okay.
Can't tell if that was. I can't tell if that was overcommitment on the brakes or the Aston just doing what it does when you release the brakes on it. Because I know from experience this season of sprints, when you release the brakes on the Aston, it rotates a lot, but sometimes it also likes to slide.
Perhaps just trying to do a Wallabies impression as opposed to the Springboks.
Well, given the fact that we lost to Argentina last week, that's a pretty accurate impression of how we played last week. Hopefully we can do a little bit better this week. But yeah, J-Rad here, he's not too far behind Foster at the moment. It gets a good run through Radeon there. He's going to be able to pull alongside. Oof, very nearly dips it in the grass there, but he manages to keep it on track, and he is well clear before they've even considered reaching a braking point. And Foxtrot has come off the track again at No Name. That is unfortunate. He's had a bit of a, let's just say, an eventful race today.
That is certainly one way of pushing it for sure. Yeah, it's. I think that's the story of many of these drivers here at Spa, especially for Foster. As you can see on that front end there, the McLaren looking a little bit, let's just say, worse for wear. Sad.
Yeah, he's been involved in a fair few incidents. Seems as though that's sort of all the exciting battles we were having in the top 10 have come apart. But Fatih Rahmat, pace 2.
Yeah, he's just getting quicker and quicker.
So I'm assuming he's fixed the damage then, based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very quick. The sort of time where a lot of quick drivers will be happy with that in qualifying. Yeah, to do that with what 40 minutes worth of fuel, that's a very quick time from Fadli Rahmat, and he's going to need to do quite a few more of those given the gap that he's in. He's about 12 seconds or so behind Wong, and then there's many big gaps ahead of him, so going to be difficult to make up a lot more spots. Yeah, as we saw, but it's a well-loved McLaren is one way to look at it for sure. Yeah, it's. I think we saw the same in Split Yellow as well, where the field spread here is quite large. You know, it just spreads out, and the battles don't really rage on for the whole race, and it turns into a bit of almost an endurance of just mental toughness, really.
Yeah, I mean, even if just looking at the track map, there are very few cars that are close together, because even the cars that do look remotely close together, that's because they're going through the source on the left-hand side of the track map there, but then once they get to the exit, you realize they're still kilometers apart. So yeah, there's just not very many battles going on. And even these guys that we're looking at with Foster and J-Rad and Lawson, they are close together, but they're not close enough to be side by side with each other. So just, yeah, it's a very mental game here in the Belgian forest.
Got a little bit of a pause. We'll quickly go over some standings. You can see Brad Cook in the lead of the pro standings for Split Green, 145 points clear of Benjamin Hicknett, and you would say that Brad Cook has pretty much sewn that up now. Moeen Taufik, he'll be looking to get back past Benjamin Hicknett with Hicknett's sort of lacking race, I suppose. Then Hill already out of this one. Vintner up into 5th in the standings. Silver class, it's Purcell, and Turcolini, Smith, King, and Vu. You'd think Purcell is the favourite there. Pro-Am, it's Carter, Jusman, King, Pascal Armstrong, and Rad. Not a whole lot to say about there. Jusman being out of things. King could potentially be a surprise. I think John Carter should have that one. And then Austin, Foster, Symes, Nin Chen, and Digby in the M class there.
See Austin there leading the AM Championship, and he is also the leading AM driver on track. When we get the leaderboard back up, we will be able to confirm what position he is in. He is currently running in P16, well clear of Foster, Ning-Chan, and Symes. So pretty impressive performance from Sam Austin so far this season. He's always been sort of near that sort of top 15 or so. But yeah, we're seeing some chat in the YouTube chat, which is a good reminder. We have 49 people watching now. We had about 69 earlier, which is nice. But we only have 22 likes, so just a quick reminder to sort of smash that like button. But there is a bit of discussion going on about some little event that's sort of coming up in the couple of weeks' time. So we have the Trio Series, which is coming on the 9th of October. That is a multi-class race with GT2 cars, GT4 cars, and of course the ever wonderful, ever fun to drive BMW M2s. So teams are free, each in a different car class, each racing for their particular wins. And then of course in November the 30th, Nordschleife 24 hours, my worst nightmare come true. I think there's a lot of people excited about that. I'm not one of them particularly, but given the amount of reaction and excitement we've seen in the Discord, I think there's going to be some people having a lot of fun on the weekend of the 30th of November.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Nordschleife, and I cannot wait to see 24 hours. There's Rakhmat again improving with another 2:17.2, but this time it was a 2:75. But yeah, the Green Hell, as some people know it, or more well known globally as the Nordschleife, is it's very tricky. It's very hard to get right. But 24 hours there is the toughest event there is, and it is going to be filled of highs and lows, I'm sure. But we have still got to wait, what, 2 months, 5 days-ish until then.
Yeah, it's not, again, probably a controversial opinion, but I don't enjoy it as a racetrack. I refuse to learn it, so that's it.
Well, that there lies the problem, though. You gotta learn it to enjoy it, because you can't just. It's like trying to drive like any track blind. It's like going to Bathurst and knowing Sector 1 and Sector 3, but not knowing the mountain.
What happened to Carter? Oh, he's back now. Carter just disappeared. Yeah, I know you have to learn it, but no, I'm old, firstly, so remembering that many corners is a pain in the ass. And yeah, no, thank you. It's basically, it looks like all tracks that's in the middle of forests, like Spa, just suck, basically. So.
I mean, I'm 15, so I don't have the memory problem, I guess, but it's just a shame you're too old to enjoy one of the greatest racetracks.
I would say greatest hot lap, potentially sort of track day tracks. Yes, racetracks.
Each to their own, to be fair.
Exactly. I'm not learning it at Joshua Holmes. I'm not doing that. No, thank you. No, thank you. But Thurkelini is putting a lot of pressure on Carter. We saw Carter disappear for a couple of seconds on the previous lap. Hopefully that wasn't on Thurkelini's screen, because that would be quite distracting while going through Vanya chicane there. Good run for both of them. As we see, Rahmat, did he improve, or is that exactly the same lap time he did
exactly
earlier?
the same lap time. Is that meant to be showing up again? Or was that? Oh. So maybe in like the, I don't even know what the terminology is. Faster in like the micro thousands or something. Whatever the name would be of it.
Literally sometimes happens. Yeah, but Thurkelini, after his penalty that he had a little bit earlier, he is back onto the recovery towards that top 10. I think he has the pace to get past Carter here, but 2.8 second gap to Smith ahead of that. So interesting to see Rahmat, when we saw him a little bit earlier, he was about 11 seconds behind Wong. It's 5 seconds now with a replay. Barker and Sam Austin coming down towards the bus stop. And that is a very nicely done move by Barker. Hopefully nothing else happens. Nope, looks like a good move.
The replay hasn't gone away yet, so I'm just gonna reserve judgment a little bit. No, I think it's all good. That's good, well executed move from David Barker. He's now looking at Damiano Circle and looking to get past the. I was about to say BMW. It's an Aston Martin, but it's it does look a bit like a BMW with the livery it's got. So Damiano.
Driver, I just wanted to cry inside. That hurts comparing it to a BMW. But anyway, Thurkelini sails through towards the bus stop, getting the place done, but the Aston isn't done just yet. And Carter nearly overcommitted under braking there and spun Thurkelini around, but luckily was able to slow the car up in time.
Come on, Lindsay. Surely you know your F1 livery history a little bit.
Yeah, I know. It's the 2000s BMW Williams. I know that, but still.
A couple of seasons ago during the Endurance Series, we ran the Aston, and I don't know where John found a person who made the livery, but he made it to look like a BMW, even the lights. So that offended a lot of people, which made us very happy.
The chaos.
This one isn't quite as offensive because it's actually a nice livery, at least. But
yes,
Alexis is just blind. I'm kidding. No, but yeah, it is a nice looking car.
Yeah, it would be. It's one of those things where we're so far in the life cycle of, well, ACC and with AC2 or AC Evolution around the corner. It's the likelihood for more updates is getting less and less, obviously. But it would be so nice to get that new Aston Martin and potentially the Corvette when that comes. But yeah, I'm assuming it's not particularly likely. But having watched the Monza 3 hour on Sunday, the new Aston does look like a slightly improved version of the one that we have in ACC.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the new Aston and the 2019 Aston, so I'm happy either way, but I also know that there aren't too many Aston Martins. There are a few more this season than in previous seasons, but if the new one were to come out, then we wouldn't be such a rare car anymore. I feel like everybody would be running it like the Mustang.
Yeah, well, a couple of updates ago, sort of towards the end of 1.8, it was quite a popular car. That's when I was running it as well, and it had a working suspension at that stage. And then 1.9 came out, which sort of broke it for a little while, made it very, very difficult to set up. Had some Aston enjoyers having their head banged against the wall consistently, but it seems to have come back a little bit now. It's quite competitive at most tracks. There's a couple where it's maybe a little bit off, but in general, there's a couple of tracks where it's probably the fastest car or very close to. So yeah, it would be nice to see a couple more. It does have an epic sound on the gear shifts. That sort of pop that it makes every time you shift up is one of the coolest sounds in the game.
Yeah, and it also just has that really nice feel under braking. Like, you release off the brake, you trail off the brakes, and the front end just points. And as someone who comes from open wheel towards GT driving, I mean, I like driving most of the GT cars. I used to drive the Mercedes, which was very understeery, but it has such a pointy front end, and for me, that hits home with my driving style. So that's why I drive it personally.
You should try the Bentley. It's very
Bentley Supremacy.
I just want more people in the Bentley, to be honest. That's actually a nice livery. I haven't seen that Cockatoo's livery, but that's a bloody nice livery.
That is nice.
Wow, that is beautiful. Coming out with an absolute banger of a livery right at the end of the season. Oh my lord.
My parents have a cockatoo called Bubbles, so if my son saw this, he would just be shouting Bubbles at full volume. And that is a beautiful, really, really nicely done livery. Bravo to Florando there.
Absolutely, that's incredible.
Yeah, that is really, really nice looking.
So I could just look at this for hours, and we might get to look at this a little bit longer because Symes is right there, and Phil Rando's going to be having a little bit of a go at another beautiful livery in the Springbok Aston Martin.
So these are the two best looking liveries on the track. I'm not sure if I'll be wrong if I say that. I can't think of any others in the split that really match up to these.
No, I think you're right. I think they are the two best looking cars on the grid, and that's obviously because they're supporting the best looking car at a base value as well. I'm not Aston Martin biased at all, I promise.
I'm not Springbok biased at all either, so you know, there's no bias going on here in the comms box. Well, biggie hugs. Everybody should be wanting more beautiful V8 British cars on the grid. That includes the Aston. Oh, that's a bit of a slide from Symes there. Will that compromise him enough? I don't think Rando's quite close enough to capitalize on that in this occasion. Speaking of Bentleys, where's McAdam?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think he's still leading the race. I don't think he's stopped yet.
Can the Bentley go all the? Oh no. Okay, as I was saying,
well, now
yes.
all the way. No, never mind.
He's
Yes.
like, oh, I haven't stopped yet. All right, I might as well just roll into the pit lane.
He's like, oh, Lindsay goes, the Bentley might be able to make the whole way. No, I'm gonna pit now.
Cheeky replay moments. As we continue to gawk at the beautiful Phil Rando car. What's gonna happen going into the bar stop?
Very late on the brakes, but the Aston can pull up
And
and
it just comes to almost comes to a standstill.
yeah,
Almost
That was
turned into
very
a
odd.
running race there.
yeah, that was. I've never
No,
seen a
you.
car
Race.
like.
No, I insist. You. No, you go. No.
Who's Hugo?
It's
Boo,
uh,
Alexis.
it's almost like watching F1 drivers play DRS Chicken, which, speaking of, this is a terrible segue, but anyway, speaking of, Alexis and I, who are in the comms box, do every Sunday do the OOR series for F1, the Legend Series, and yeah,
We're in
every
Abu Dhabi
Sunday, 6
this
p.m.
Sunday.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi this Sunday, and under the lights.
Indeed, so be sure to check that out. Exclusive on Twitch, but exclusive to this moment right now is Fadli Rahmat chasing after Ian Wong, looking to continue on with the last to P13 challenge.
The Formula One at sort of Abu Dhabi this weekend.
Off the track and backs out of it, so that's probably fair.
Just to ruin a couple of people's days. I'm sure this has been told a million times, but you know that people in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, you do. But the people in Abu Dhabi do. So Rahmat is still putting the pressure on Wong here. Where did McAdam come out? McAdam came out in P5, 11 seconds behind Richuti and 5 seconds ahead of Vintner. If I recall correctly, Vintner was right on his tail when he dove into pit lane. So that's been a very, very good overcut from McAdam, and it also sort of puts his pace into...
Oh my lord, Rahmat. God. You've killed that Ferrari once, you do not need to do it again.
Yeah, Rahmat is just constantly tempting fate at the top of the hill, but now he gets to dive back down the hill, which is where the Ferrari looks fairly tame. It's the first sector and last sector where it really looks like it wants to throw him into a wall. Where in the middle sector it's like, no, you can have a break, you can get lulled into a false sense of security, bang, you're dead.
Guess I'm dead now.
Yeah, that's the Ferrari.
That was another pretty magical save by Rahmat there. Really very quick reactions to sort of get it in there. But yeah, we've seen earlier in the race, we saw the battle between Taufik and Richuti, Lambo versus Ferrari, the Italian supremacy battle. And now we're seeing Rahmat, Wong. I feel like no disrespect meant to Wong here. I feel like the battle was a little bit more balanced between Taufik and Richuti in terms of just outright pace. But Wong has done very well so far. Richuti caught him quite a few laps ago, and he has yet to be able to find a way through. Wong, I'm not going to say it, but he hasn't put a foot wrong so far in this battle.
Yeah, but just you saying you're not gonna say it just implies it now. Like,
yeah.
I feel like you should have just said it, you know.
Yeah, but if I do it now, two wrongs won't make a right, you know. So
yeah.
Oh, that's a dive down the inside from Fadli Rahmat, and that was very well executed.
Yeah, that was a good move, laid under the brakes, and we've seen Rahmat has no ends to his confidence under the brakes there, and one time it ended very wrong, but with just one car. That's a slow Ferrari. Who is that? Is that Foxtrot?
Xining Chan, I think.
Yeah, Xining Chan, who's yeah, just giving way to
Foxtrot has a much more identifiable livery than that, I would say.
Yeah, Nin Chang's livery has been a bit mauled this season, unfortunately.
So we're seeing in chat Slady saying that the Ferrari isn't that hard. Now, I'm gonna call bullshit, just for the fact that we have seen how many Ferraris die in this race, including Fadli Rahmat, who is one of the best drivers in Southeast Asia. I'm gonna say it might not be that hard in certain sectors, like Lindsay was saying, but it certainly appears to have a bit of a hard-on for death in other areas.
Yeah, that, and also it could be setup related, because I think that the main problem, at least it looks like from the TV cameras, it just looks like it's a little bit too low to the ground. So that could be setup related, but anyway, Purcell trying to find the outside way around on King as we head through campus, and then now through the right of Stavilo, and that nearly ended very, very wrong, and a reasonable exit there from King, but still Purcell chasing tail here, trying to get into this big slipstream that the Aston Martin leaves behind it, as we now head through Blanchimont. Could we see a move into the bus stop chicane very late on the brakes from a Ferrari again, like Rackmat's been doing? No, Purcell is going to wait behind for the moment, but that nearly ended very, very badly between those two.
Just nearly, as we watch now with just the blue flag driver letting them go. It's McLaren there, 43. They'll be beaten, I believe, as Purcell will get the run on King down towards Rouge and Radion. This is the battle between the best of the rest, I suppose you could call it. And Purcell's got a really nice run up the top of the hill. I think Purcell's running a much more stable setup, and that's held him in good stead throughout this whole race. He's been very clean and consistent as Tim Purcell. May not have had the outright pace, but he's still leading the Silver Class in this race and is odds-on favourite to take the Silver Class win in the series.
Not that far ahead of Dylan Smith, 2.6 seconds. So these guys.
Oh!
Oh my god. Okay.
How has he pulled that off?
Move. It was a great move. That was a really, really committed move, though.
I mean, fair play to Dylan King. He saw that coming. He absolutely saw that coming.
That takes cooperation from both drivers to be able to let that slide without a massive crash. But very late on the brakes from Purcell. King just about leaves enough space with a good bit of reaction there, and yeah, Purcell is now off to run free and prance away in his prancing horse. So good move there, and now Dylan King will probably be under pressure from Smith soon, as we now look back to Pascal Armstrong, who is chasing behind Benjamin Hignett in the middle sector here. And as we head towards the third sector, the Ford just looking pretty stable. I mean, I think we've seen that with all the Fords up and down the grid. They just haven't really had many moments, as I say that. Was that a little bit of a slide?
Just a little.
Now we're going to look back to King again here in the replay camera. And Smith flies through, and oh wow, that was...
Has King run out of fuel?
Doesn't look like it. He's still going there.
That was odd. Yeah, he's still going. What happened? What happened?
Just an incident.
Weird.
Terrible callback. Anyway,
he seems to have gotten going again. And speaking of going, Rahmat here, his recovery drive is progressing nicely. He is now caught up to the back of Pascal Armstrong.
Familiar sight.
That Mustang. And then Hignett just ahead of them on track at the moment, although he does have the 10-second penalty. As we see Rahmat, my god, that is
Don't do that.
That's nerve-wracking. I'm already old. I don't need to age quicker. But yeah, I think Hignett is about as much as Rahmat will be able to achieve in this race. There's an 8-second gap to Carter ahead of Hignett, and there's 8 minutes remaining. Now, I have all the confidence in the world in Rahmat's driving abilities, but even that is outside of his range, I would say. But first, he has to get past Pascal Armstrong, and Pascal Armstrong has been a very astute defender so far today. Hopefully, he can continue that and make life as difficult as possible for Rahmat here.
We'd hope it wouldn't be a repeat of what happened the last time these two met, with Rahmat just going a bit too deep on the brakes into bus stop. Had a little look in the pool, was never gonna really go for it. When you think about Rahmat is a far better driver than that, and he'll carry on and try for a move into the bus stop and hopefully get it done a bit cleaner than last time.
To be fair, I mean, last time there was another car involved in the battle as well, which sort of complicated things a little bit. But it is a little bit of a sort of a situation of what if for Pascal Armstrong there, as Timmy Purcell here, who was the other driver involved in that battle before, is running in P7, and that's where Pascal Armstrong would have been essentially had he not been involved in that incident. So unfortunate there, but here's Thicklini now attacking Dylan King. So Dylan King has really just dropped off a little bit. Maybe we can see his lap time as he comes across the line here. So Thicklini with a 2:19.6. Click over to King, we'd be able to see roughly what he was doing. Previous lap had a very strange incident.
20.8.
Maybe fuel map has been changed, like engine map, to get across the line.
Oh, get a replay
Mayhaps.
here of
Going through Blunstromont and getting it done. Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
But Rackmat committed, to say the least, as Pascal Armstrong breaks late around the outside, but I think Rackmat gets that one done, and that was a
Breathe.
very that was a very nerve-wracking move, but a very nice bit of racing between those two drivers, and they both were able to survive that somehow.
yeah. Now Rahmat has to get past Hignett, which is
It doesn't
never
have
an easy
to.
driver to get through. Well,
Doesn't have to.
you're a racing driver, Alexis. You've done races. You know that the penalty is. It's like kissing your sister. You know, it's just not the same. You want to do it on track. You want to finish ahead on track. So the Greenie here, he has caught up to King, who we've been seeing seems to be struggling a little bit. Some suggestions of tires that could have died, I mean, potentially, but it seemed.
I mean, the pace drop off compared to his best lap time is about the same as drivers around him. He just
Yeah, it's not
doesn't
huge.
quite seem to have the pace of the drivers around him.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think the most telling detail will be how quickly does Turcolini catch up in a straight, because my theory is that it's probably engine map, because they haven't gotten enough fuel, but then Turcolini's not gaining enough here for it really to be engine map, so maybe I am just crazy as Turcolini goes off there towards the bus stop. And now heavy braking and just gonna stay behind King, who is just really struggling. Ran very wide there on the entry, and now Turcolini is going to go left towards La Source. They might try the long way around. It looks like they are going to try the long way around, but there's a closing door, and he's just to the inside. Late move. Great job under braking, but King is going to get the switch back and say, no thank you, you're not getting that move done today. But it's very aggressive from Turcolini, but it's not done yet as they head towards Rouge and Radion. Surely Turcolini backs out of this one. He does, and that could have been very interesting had he not switched to the inside quick enough. But now we
take prisoners as here comes Dylan Smith.
On Purcell as we head towards Lecom, who is going to break the latest. They break it at roughly the same time, but Purcell has the inside for the next part as we now head towards Malmedy, and Purcell
Well
just
defended.
keeping it done. Just keeping the position on the outside as Dylan Smith pressuring the inside. The Mustang pushing Purcell through Bruxelles. And now we head towards No Name and Puon. This is where the Ferrari should just be a little bit more pacey, a little bit more comfortable, and that will allow Purcell to breathe just for a couple of
Shooting
moments.
for drive-through.
Yep.
Rip.
Look at that gap between Purcell and Smith at the last timing line. That's about as close as you can get.
Oh, you can get it closer.
Technically, yes, I guess.
I've had it closer. GT7.
There you go,
released
Paige.
there. I got 0.01 to the line. I
Oh,
got
you could
P2,
always have
sadly.
0.000.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, but
okay, I stand corrected. Jesus Christ. Okay, yes, you can get closer. Sorry, I apologize. As we get a replay here of Rahmat on Hignett. They're also very close. You can get closer than that. Anyway,
Oh, certainly.
he is pretty much past by the time they reach the braking zone. No, Hignett's
Oh,
still
no.
Oh,
wow.
was aggressive from Benjamin there, but I think Rahmat got the move done in the end.
that's
As
deep from
Smith
Smith.
goes deep and just has to rejoin.
I think that's the assaults from Smith over.
Yeah,
Look at that gap across the line. It could
Yeah,
definitely be closer.
I mean, yes. As we get a replay here of that attempted move. I'm not going to say it was a good attempt at a move. He was very, very late on the brakes. In fact, way too late. And Purcell just does the little old switcheroo and cuts back ahead. And I think with about a lap or two remaining, Purcell may have done enough here to potentially keep that position and take the silver class win. This is an epic battle for that silver class win, though.
Yeah,
Damiano's still behind King here, but King still has that straight line advantage, so definitely not on a lower engine map. Just, again, doesn't seem to quite have the pace of the drivers around him at this stage.
which gives me concern
the weird
for
thing is
tomorrow,
that-
but that's for me to deal with.
I don't think it's an Aston thing, to be honest, because the area where he lost that much time, it looked like he either lifted or maybe couldn't shift up or something, because he lost time in that one sector, and then since then his pace has been, well, pretty much standard. The gaps have remained the same and everything. So I'm wondering if it was just maybe a little bit of a hardware issue or something like that. But regardless of that, the battle continues. Tercolini trying to find a way through. We have a name having crossed the line now with 1 minute remaining. That will be his final lap. So these guys will have one more lap to battle this out. Can Tercolini find a way through? He hasn't been able to just quite yet. Smith is now 1.2 seconds behind Purcell. So he will have to put a bit of a lap of the gods together here to get back onto the tail of Purcell and try and steal that silver class win on the final lap here.
So as the top, I can't speak apparently, as the clock ticks towards 0, 27 seconds to go. It's been a long hour and a half, but it isn't quite over yet. One more lap to go, and 38 laps of Spa will be completed. But we still have a couple more fights to finish, and Dylan Smith, I don't think he's just going to be able to close up to Purcell. Maybe not, though. That looks very close as they come across the line. The gap is 5/10, so a very strong final sector there from the Mustang. So now the clock hits 0 as we see the 23 car going very slowly at Lefania, but now we continue to look at Dylan Smith as they head up towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the final time of this hour and a half race. So this is for the silver class win. Smith versus Purcell, Mustang versus Ferrari. Here we go in the slipstream. The Mustang is better in a straight line, but he's still going to have to work hard to get this move done. He's closing in a straight line, closing in the slipstream as we now head towards Lake Holm. Will he go for the move? He looks like he's just going to sit behind and play the patience game. This could be a move at the bus stop. Then now we head through Lecom and now through the right of Malmedy. The Mustang is going to have to stay strong through its weakest portion of the racetrack, which is also where the Ferrari happens to be at its strongest, as we now head down the hill through Bruxelles and towards No Name. A good exit out of here will be crucial. Purcell gets a marginally better exit as we now flick it through No Name, and on the power the Mustang will gain a little bit of time down towards Pouon, but the Ferrari should be a bit stronger as they head through Pouon. And now Dylan Smith is going to have to chase. This is where the scales tip once again, and the Mustang is just a little bit stronger through this final section of the racetrack. So through Lefania chicane, we go through the right, through the left. It looks like Dylan Smith has had a much better run, but now he has Campus and Stavolo to negotiate right up underneath that Ferrari through Campus, and then now flat out just about through Stavolo, and this is where the Mustang needs to stretch its legs. Dylan Smith runs out a bit wide. It might be the nail in the coffin here, but he is still closing here in the straight line as we head towards Blanchimont for one final time for the silver class win as we go through Blanchimont and now towards the bus stop. I don't think Dylan Smith is going to be close enough here as we round the final two corners heading into the braking zone. Purcell, as long as he doesn't make a mistake, is going to get this one for the P7, but for the silver class win. Purcell is going to take the win, and Dylan Smith couldn't quite get it done as we now cut back to Tercolini, who's trying the outside of King and couldn't quite get that one done, as Carter is now going to be trying to race Tercolini to the line, but nothing to avail, and Damiano Tercolini comes home P10. So a great bit of racing there to round it out as we now look back to Hignett, who crosses the line in P13. Behind him is going to be Pascal Armstrong, who will get the position because Hignett does have a penalty, as we now look back to Ning Chan who's heading through the bus stop to finish his 38 lap or 39 lap adventure over the course of the past hour and a half. Or for him, it's going to be 37 laps as he is 2 laps down. But he takes the flag, P21, with J-Rad, who will be coming home in P22. But it has been a very long but very, very exciting hour and a half here at Spa, and yeah, what a way to end it.
Yeah, well called, Lindsay. Very, very well done from Tim Purcell to hold on to the silver win, and very, very well done to Naim for winning by 11.4 seconds, if you don't mind, over Moin Taufik. That is a very well executed race. Pole position, race win from Naim there as Rando across the line as the last across the line. And you see with Rashudi's 80-second penalty for not serving the drive-through, he dropped all the way down behind Hignett in the end. As we'll have a look at your race results here for the final round here in your Simrigs Sprint Series, Spa for Split Green. It was Naim on top from Taufik, Cook, McAdam, and Vintner, your top 5 overall. In the silver class, it was a very well-fought race between Purcell and Smith, but Purcell came out on top, with Turquini and Wong rounding out your silver class. Pro-Am, it was King from Carter, Pascal Armstrong, Lawson, and Beaton. Then in the AM class, it was Austin, Foster, Ninchang, and Symes. Well, there you have it. That is your series here for Split Green and for your Wednesday night splits. We will be back tomorrow night from 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for Split Blue, followed swiftly by Split Red at 9:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Of course, do be sure to check those out, and our North American splits at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And of course, the Trio Series is back. Watkins Glen on the 9th of October, Suzuka on the 16th of October, and Silverstone on the 23rd of October. Be sure to sign up for that. We've got about half the grid filled so far, so be sure to get that in as soon as possible. And of course, be prepared, because we've got the Nordschleife 24 hours coming up on Saturday, November 30th. The race that we have all been waiting for, and is going to be an exciting one. But that will do us for tonight. Thank you for joining us here for once again another brilliant round of sprint racing. Before we go, may I just ask driver of the day from you to Peach and Lindsay?
I'm going to say McAdam, just for the recovery, and the only one doing that very long strat, and it got him up into P4. So no bias because of the Bentley, that obviously helps, but yeah, great drive from him after
And
quite a bad incident.
And based on the gaps between himself and Vintner, how they came down, I wonder if McAdam actually chose to stay on the same set of tyres.
It certainly appears to be the case, yeah.
I think for me, my driver of the day is Fadley Rackmat. Despite his incident and his big crash, he still managed to get P11 on some blistering pace from the back of the field, and that to me means he gets driver of the day.
Although I would say, just before we go, we didn't see a lot of Naim in this race, but I'm not sure if it's their first win, but they had an absolutely perfect race. They did everything right, qualified on pole. Only thing they missed out on is the fastest lap, but when you have somebody like Rahmat doing basically a Ricardo, finishing outside of the points and taking your points away from you, no, Naim did absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, we didn't see them cross the line, but great, big congrats to them on an absolutely beautiful race there.
Yes, indeed. Right, well, that will do us for tonight. Thank you for joining us once again, and we hope to see you all tomorrow night for some more Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series action here at Spa. But for now, it is good night from us.